The troubles we can fix.
She will kill me. The troubles will end.
Am I dead?
Don't trust the troubles.
For so long, I wanted to know who I am. What if it's all changing?
Season 4. Welcome back if you're returning from my previous recaps. If not, oh boy, are you about to be confused? Welcome though, thanks for being here. Season 4 of Syfy's most iconic and underrated show started airing in 2013. Haven was here, we were back, it's the 20-teens, let's go for Season 4. Now, as I've mentioned multiple times, Season 4 is definitely a little bit of a turning point for the show. Things start to evolve, things get a little different. It starts to feel a little bit like a new show, but at the end of the day, it's the same old Haven that we all love and that we all know. Now, if you have seen my last 3 recaps, something else that's evolved is this situation. Basically, I just ran out of real estate for Audrey. So she's now up here with room to grow because she's gonna need it. I'm gonna try and do a little mini recap, but if you haven't seen the show or my other recaps, I can't help you, I'm afraid. There's a reason that the season 3 recap is 2.5 hours long. Lots going on. This is going to be a reminder. If you haven't seen the show and don't know what's going on, this is going to be very hard to comprehend. Audrey Parker. We found out last season that she is a trouble-curing entity, a trouble-immune entity. The troubles, of course, being the supernatural curses that a bunch of people in town have that cause death and destruction. So she is immune to the troubles and she creates an energy that cures them. Appears in Haven every 27 years, sticks around for a little bit, helps everyone out with the troubles. Then she has to go back into a supernatural barn where she essentially dies as a person, is stuck in there for 27 years, comes back out after that as a new person, completely new, no recollection of what's going on, thinks she's someone random, and then she helps out with the troubles again, forms relationships, has a good time or not a good time, depending on your perspective. But then she has to go back into the barn again and then die again. And then just she's stuck in this torturous 27-year cycle. So we know about, from the 1980s, Lucy, and from the 1950s, Sarah. Those are the 2 past lives that we know about. Speaking of Sarah, Nathan went back to the 1950s last season and conceived a child with her, and so also with Audrey technically. Sarah, Nathan, Audrey trio effort. So James, the Colorado kid, and all 3 of their son, he got married to a woman named Arla, who turned out to be a serial killer that took off people's skin and wore it as a suit for a little bit. She is dead now, though, so it's not really a concern anymore. Also, Audrey went to Colorado last season with Duke to try and figure out more stuff about the past lives, and they hooked up, and I refer to it lovingly as the Colorado incident. Down here with Nathan, he is a troubled man himself. He has a trouble in which he's completely numb, he can't feel anything except for our immune girly. He can then also obviously feel all of her past selves because they're kind of the same person but they're not. Hence why he was so quickly able to conceive a child with Sarah when he went back in time. Well, I guess we don't know how long the event was, but the getting there was quite quick. But that's just semantics about how they conceived a child. It's sex-mantics, actually, and not relevant. So Nathan and Audrey are in love, obviously, if that wasn't clear. So Nathan decided to destroy the barn at the end of last season, the barn that kind of takes Audrey away, kills her, traps her for 27 years and spits her out as someone new. He decided to destroy that in order to save Audrey, but it just kind of caused it to start collapsing and imploding while she was inside. So that was not his intention, but that's what's going on. Speaking of the imploding barn, our man Duke is in there. He went in after Audrey because Nathan was shot at the time and couldn't go in. So Duke's inside of the destroyed barn as well. So we don't know what's going on with either of them. Duke's trouble / Duke's Crocker family curse, as we call it, is that he is able to kill troubled people and then kill their trouble, which would normally be passed down to their children and then their children's children. It's a generational thing. So he is able to kill them and then kill the curse forever. He gets blood on him, gets silver eyes and really strong and stuff. That's kind of the go there. His granddad and his dad were doing that. They were murdering troubled people to get rid of the troubles. And so Sarah and Lucy killed them in the past to stop them from killing troubled people, because that's kind of her thing. She helps troubled people and they kill troubled people. So the Crockers and the Audreys haven't got along historically, but obviously, as evidenced by the Colorado incident, that doesn't seem to be what's going on here with these two. So yeah, Duke's not killing troubled people, except he kind of did last season, but it's not his thing. Duke also has a daughter named Jean with a supernatural entity called Helena. He can never have any interaction with Jean though, because if they get near each other, he'll die. I just like to mention that she's still a thing though, because that's his child. Finally, we have Duke's dead wife Evie, who I have to apologize to formally. I've spelled her name incorrectly the whole time that she's been here on this board. I put an E on the end of Evie. I don't know why, it felt right to me, but it was not correct. Sorry, Evie, that's my bad. There's also a thing with Duke where there was a death premonition of a person that has a certain tattoo that kind of kills him. I don't need to get into that yet. Don't worry about it. So I've been updating everyone's tree picks depending on what they look like each season, and there is a reason that we have a season 3 pick for Audrey and not a season 4 pick like Nathan and Duke. This is where we last saw Audrey, where things were very upsetting. She was crying, Duke was crying, Nathan was crying, I was crying.
Talking about this scene is making me physically ill. I'm not doing well.
It was a sad time. Now let's get into the chaos that is season 4 of Haven. If Emily Rose can shoot out a baby literally weeks before coming back to film this season, that's something that she did. Crazy information to learn. Icon behavior. So the least I can do is just get into it and start recapping. Let's go. Our season 4 premiere is titled Fallout, and yes, it does address the iconic events of the season 3 finale. We start back up with Duke, who is currently inside of the imploding, collapsing, destroyed barn. And yes, he has once again grown more hair in between seasons. Thank you, Eric. So Duke's looking for Audrey inside of the barn, because that's where we last saw her. He's calling out to her, trying to locate her. Then the barn starts to play a projection of Audrey's recent memories on the walls. Because of this projection show, Duke is told, and we are reminded, unfortunately, of the fact that if Audrey kills Nathan, the person that she loves most, the troubles would be cured forever and not just 27 years. So the cycle would end forever if she was to kill Nathan. We don't know why, but that's what we know to be happening. If Audrey kills Nathan, the troubles are cured forever. Don't forget that. The show won't let you forget that. 70% of this season is all around the concept that if Audrey kills Nathan, the troubles are gone forever. So yeah, Duke knows that that's the sitch now. That's what's important here. So suddenly Duke gets pulled out of the barn and lands in a seal tank at an aquarium in Boston. That's where he's ended up. He's in a seal tank. He's swimming. So then we quickly cut to a woman who is watching the news. She sees Duke being escorted out of the aquarium because it's sort of frowned upon to swim with the seals. They don't really love it when people do that. Duke's calling out to Audrey in this news footage, which this woman kind of hears and then gets up and rushes out somewhere. Duke has now been taken to a hospital where he's being questioned by the cops about how he ended up with the seals in the aquarium. So Duke finds out that Haven PD are currently under the impression that Duke has been dead for 6 months.
Dead?
So that's fairly awkward for him, especially because he thinks that he was only inside of the imploding barn for a few minutes. But apparently it's been 6 months. This is our first time jump that we've had on the show in between seasons. Season 3 happened, 6 months, Season 4. Back in Haven, we see that residents are being terrorized by some supernatural gusts of wind. Welcome back to town. A nurse tells Duke that his sister is waiting outside to see him and that her name is Audrey. When this woman arrives though, it's not Audrey, but it is the woman who was watching the news who saw Duke call out to Audrey. So she's come to visit Duke. So she starts rambling about hearing and seeing Duke call out to Audrey inside of her head. In addition to on the news, she's also been hearing that going on inside of her brain. This woman introduces herself as Jennifer Mason, and she is our wholesome little ball of happiness and sunlight.
Jennifer Mason.
Love Jennifer. So Jennifer says that 6 months ago she started hearing conversations in her head akin to the main characters and their situations inside of the barn. So she's been hearing that kind of replaying in her head, similar to the projection show that Duke saw. So that's Jennifer's deal. Duke explains to Jennifer that she's not crazy and that all this barn stuff really did happen. He then starts to explain Haven and kind of the deal with that, and she kind of gets a bit more freaked out.
You're making me feel more crazy, not less crazy.
Yeah, I know how it sounds.
So Duke now thinks that Jennifer might be able to help them find Audrey based on what she can hear from the barn. So maybe she can hear where Audrey's ended up, because as we know, Duke ended up in a seal tank. So who knows where Audrey's at right now? Duke decides that they've both got to get back to Haven and kind of sort this out. They break him out of the hospital and they already have a very fun dynamic. Duke then calls Dave at the Haven Herald, and Dave says that everyone really did think he was dead for the past 6 months, because that's when the barn was destroyed, was 6 months ago.
Barn's been destroyed for 6 months, Duke.
Just to remind you, it's been 6 months. Duke then quickly wonders if maybe time works differently inside of the barn, which could be why Audrey doesn't really age. For every 27 years, she kind of just stays the same. She doesn't age. So that's a fair theory, Duke. Duke tells Dave they've got to find Audrey, figure out where she's landed. So he asks where Nathan is, and then Dave tells Duke that Nathan no longer works at Haven PD and that he's not even in Haven anymore. So next we see our barn destroying boy, and he's getting beaten up by bikers. And he's got a beautiful beard. What an intro. I love him. So Duke and Jennifer show up to see Nathan getting beaten up, and they realise that Nathan's actually getting paid for this. He's getting paid to be a punching bag, because as we know, he can't feel it. So that's how he's kind of earning money right now. Jennifer is understandably shocked. Duke quickly goes over to Nathan and they reunite, and it's very sweet. Bromance vibes this season. Out of control. Nathan reiterates that he thought Duke was dead, and then he instantly starts looking for Audrey, because he obviously thought that he'd killed her too by destroying the barn. So he's like, where is she? So then we hard cut to a bar. We see a bartender call out to someone named Lexi, and then when Lexi turns around, it's Audrey, but she's Lexi now. She's got some long ass brown extensions, very curly. She's got white streaks in there, but most importantly, she's rocking an absolutely adorable little nose ring. Let's pop her on here. Here's Lexi, adding to Audrey's very strange tree. Welcome, girl. Back again with Nathan and Duke. Nathan has immediately gotten rid of the beard. It's very quick, it was very brief, which makes me a bit sad. So Nathan explains that he left Haven after the meteors stopped falling, which I forgot to mention. There was also a meteor shower in the season 3 finale. While all the barn stuff was happening, there was also a meteor shower that was destroying Haven. So Nathan left after the last of the meteors stopped falling and destroying the town. He also very importantly mentions that the 27-year cycle of the Troubles going away has been broken. So the Troubles have not gone away, despite Audrey disappearing, because, and purely because, he destroyed the barn.
Dave thinks you shooting Howard disrupted the 27-year cycle. That's why the Troubles didn't go away like they were supposed to.
So now everyone that thought they were going to get a 27-year break from their Troubles are stuck with them, seemingly forever, because the barn that amplified Audrey's trouble-curing energy for 27 years has been destroyed. Nathan has seemingly gotten everyone with the trouble stuck with their trouble forever, with no reprieve in sight. That's also something that the show is not going to let us forget. So Nathan gives us his first very sad line of season 4.
I was trying to save Audrey. Instead, I thought I killed her. I thought I killed you. Killed James.
Get ready for more of that, because I like to coin this season for Nathan Sad Boy season, because he's sad all the time. Nathan explains that he needs to stay off the radar because the guard really want to kill him for getting rid of their cure to the Troubles, which was the barn. So the guard are not happy that Nathan's gotten rid of their temporary cure for the Troubles, their 27-year cure. So they're trying to kill him. The guard, if you don't remember, are the tattooed people who we've got a lot of tension with, just kind of in general. They're really angry at Nathan for destroying the barn, because now they're all stuck with their Troubles, probably forever.
If they found me, I'm dead.
They want to murder Nathan. So Nathan gets wind of Jennifer kind of hearing what's going on in the barn and really wants to use her to find Audrey. Nathan says that they should head to Haven to try and work things out. Back in Haven, Dwight rolls up to the scene of all the wind stuff, and he, very importantly, is the Haven police chief now, that Nathan used to be. But he destroyed the barn, everyone wants to kill him now, and he left town, so he's not doing that anymore. So Dwight's doing that. He wasn't a cop before, so I don't know how he's ended up as the chief, but he has. So yay for Dwight, he's the new chief in town. I'm more excited about his beard this season though. I'm a big fan of that. We get another quick reference to explaining all the stuff in Haven as a gas leak to people in town that don't know about the Troubles.
It's a gas leak.
A gas leak. Another one.
Yeah, another one.
How is there still people in town that don't know about the Troubles? How is there anyone that's not clued into that? Vince and Dave are off bickering. It's the usual back in town. except the troubles are still here. They haven't gone away because Nathan destroyed the barn. So it's not the usual. Back to the bar with Lexi. She's bartending, she's doing her thing, and she's not anything at all like Audrey. They're very different people. So then Colin Ferguson walks into the bar, and him and Lexi instantly start flirting and vibing. So Colin was the lead in a different sci-fi show called Eureka. I've never seen Eureka personally, but I remember everyone being really excited that he was here in Haven. Duke, Nathan, and Jennifer have now rolled back into Haven, and the guard immediately show up and point guns at them. That's one of their favourite things to do as well, is just point guns at people. So we see that Jordan is still alive, despite getting shot by Duke at the end of last season. Duke's as excited about this news as I am.
Great, she's alive.
Vince, Dave, and Dwight also show up. So Dave quickly explains to us that Nathan was the one who saved Jordan's life for some reason, despite him also being shot by her. So that really feels like something that he didn't need to do. I still don't like Jordan, if you were wondering. He's trying to give her a really quick recap. So everyone's fairly confused about the fact that Duke's not dead. Then Nathan tells them that if Duke's alive, then Audrey is too. Nathan tells everyone that he's in town to find Audrey. Nathan then explains that Jennifer, who can hear what's going on in the barn, heard Howard explain that if Audrey was to kill Nathan, the troubles would be cured forever.
Not just for 27 years, but forever.
By killing me.
So now Nathan has told the people that really want him dead that if Audrey kills him, their troubles will go away forever, which is what they're really mad about, is the fact that their troubles are still here because of him. But he's like, if I get Audrey to kill me, you never have to worry about your troubles ever again. So he's shared that info with them now. Nathan takes the time to roast Jordan, and it's fantastic.
So you can kill me, Jordan. Last touch you ever feel will have been mine.
Then he tells everyone, look, don't kill me now, because if we wait, we find Audrey, she kills me, all of your troubles, quite literally, will be taken care of. Duke backs him up and says, hey guys, let Nathan be a sacrificial hero for you all, save you all from your troubles forever, don't kill him right now, just wait. Then we get some more crazy weather roll into town. Seems to be a cyclone situation that kind of rips up some buildings in Main Street. The cyclone does quickly disappear, and then Dwight says that he needs Nathan and Duke's help fixing this weather trouble. Nathan's not keen on just returning to trouble-solving behaviour. He's got other things on his mind. But Dwight says, no, you've got to do this in order to gain the guards' trust, so they don't kill you prematurely before you can get Audrey to kill you. Also, Vince is still in charge of the guard and most of the town, it seems. Duke now takes the time to ask Nathan if he's being so for real about getting Audrey to actually kill him in order to cure the troubles. And Nathan says, yes, I am being for real about that. That's my plan.
The only way to stop the troubles. Everything that's happening in this town is my fault.
Sad boy season. It is a little bit his fault, I can admit, but also I want to defend him forever because I love him, so it's a hard time for me to admit that. That's a growth step for me. Duke tells Nathan that Audrey's not going to be down to murder him in order to solve the troubles forever, which I agree with. Duke's the only one thinking clearly about this. Nathan then reminds us about how much of a martyr Audrey was by going into the barn last season and kind of twists that around to use it as a reason for why she would kill him. So Duke's like, well, you better be sure that she loves you completely, and not just like I love you, but like sci-fi levels of trouble curing love. And Nathan is confident about it, to say the least.
I've never been more sure about anything in my entire life.
Back at the bar, Lexi is still flirting with Colin Ferguson, and he tells us that his name is William. So he's William, and he's here, and he's flirting it up with Lexi. Lexi tells William that she's been in the bar for about a month. She's been working there for a little bit. The chemistry between the two is nice, it's different, it's two completely new characters that we're witnessing, essentially. Then a random guy walks into the bar, and they both clock that he has a gun, which is worrisome. Then this random guy flags Lexi over to his table, and William dips, seemingly not willing to help. So this random guy then pulls a gun on Lexi. He says he doesn't want money from her though, and before we can hear what he does want, William returns, tackles this guy, and chases him out of the bar. So that was a lot really fast. Lexi is frazzled, understandably. Back in Haven, we head to the station for the first time this season, and we also see that Stan is the only guy in town that's excited that Nathan's back. Bless up. Dwight, Nathan, Duke, and Jennifer are trying to solve the weird weather situation that's going on. Nathan then remembers that Marion from the pilot that had the weather trouble, she's probably doing this again. Do we remember Marion with all the weather and stuff from the very first episode? I hope you do, because she's back. Vince and Jordan have a really quick and very strange chat about waiting to kill Nathan. Jordan's not happy about having to wait, but Vince justifies the decision and then tells her to leave. The two of them continue to have strange interactions like this for the rest of the season.
Go home, Jordan.
At Marion's house now, Nathan, Dwight and Duke head up to go talk to her about how she's making deadly weather in town. However, she's doing some more deadly weather stuff inside of her house, so it's below freezing in there. Dwight and Duke struggle with that, but obviously Nathan doesn't. So he tells them, you guys go wait outside, I'll deal with this because I can tolerate the freezing to death of it all.
I can't feel it. I'll last longer.
You could say he's having a bit of an Elsa moment. So Marion's hanging out in her frozen living room. She recognizes Nathan and then instantly blames him for her trouble coming back, which everyone kind of does, which again, unfortunately I can admit kind of is his fault, but he didn't intend for this. So somehow she's aware that Nathan's the one that destroyed the barn and destroyed the Troubles being gone for 27 years. Nathan's like, yeah, this is my fault, but also you need to stop doing your weather stuff and killing people in town. Nathan asks Marion more specifically why her trouble has come back, and she explains to us that Conrad, the guy who was helping her control her trouble back in season 1, episode 1, remember that? That was a while ago. So Conrad's dead and can no longer help her control her weather. Nathan then tells Marion that she's got to let Conrad go in order to stop the apocalyptic weather from happening. Nathan gets a bit more specific about it and connects with Marion with her trouble, which is something he's going to keep doing. He's giving Audrey. So Nathan tells Marion that she's got to do what he couldn't do and let go of the person that she loves.
I couldn't let go. So many people were hurt.
Nathan couldn't do that. He destroyed a barn and now we're here. He also quickly mentions that he can't let more people die because of his actions, so she has to stop killing them with her weather. So this is planting the seed of how he feels like everyone that dies from the Troubles post him destroying the barn is his fault. All of those deaths are on him. I told you it was sad boy season. Marion lets Conrad go on an emotional level and then the weather pieces out. Duke says nice job Nathan on solving the trouble, and Nathan just acknowledges that he did what Audrey's always done because he can't be happy. Dwight gives Nathan his police badge back, not the chief one though because Dwight's the chief now, but just Nathan's regular detective badge. Nathan reluctantly accepts, so he is an officer of the law again. At the Gull now, things are popping off, it's looking busy, something's going on there. Duke is very curious as to who's running the place, who's running his bar that he owns. Jennifer comes up to him and says that it's someone claiming to be his brother. Then we see said man, and yes, his name's Wade and he is Duke's brother. This is Wade Crocker, and we're meeting him for the first time. He's never been mentioned before, but now he's here. Everything we ever learn about Duke's family just kind of hits you in the face, and you've just got to accept it and go, yep, and we move on. Bar time again, and Lexi is thanking William for the assist because of the gun guy and that whole sitch. Lexi says that she's never been that close to a gun, and William says something really strange about that.
Yeah, I have.
He's like, yeah, you have been close to guns before. William then tells Lexi that the random guy with the gun was trying to stop him from telling Lexi about who she really is. That's why he showed up with the gun, was to stop William. So William then makes it clear that he knows that Lexi isn't actually Lexi.
You're someone else.
Lexi isn't super receptive of this guy telling her that.
Creepiest pickup line ever.
William then tells her though that if she doesn't realize who she really is,
Unless you let me help you find out who you are.
then people are gonna die. Season 4 has begun. Episode 2 is titled Survivors. It opens with a couple of kids playing with a frisbee when their frisbee runs into a charred body. Haven must be a wild town to grow up in. Nathan rocks up to the scene because, as we know, he's now part of Haven PD again, but he's distracted by trying to chase up missing persons reports to try and find Audrey. He's got other things on his mind. Our medical examiner says that the body was incinerated, and for right now we're thinking spontaneous combustion. Dwight tells Nathan that his deal with the guard to not kill him yet and to wait till Audrey can come back and kill him means that Nathan has to be a little bit more diligent about helping with the troubles. Back with Lexi, she's confronting William about his strange "you're not really you" thing that he told her last episode. Over at the Gull, we're getting some exposition about Duke and Wade's brotherly relationship. He's Wade, by the way, and he's got a green sibling line, which we'll never see again because no one else ever has a sibling. Duke is notably not telling Wade about the troubles in town, and somehow Wade doesn't know about that already, and Duke's not filling him in. Duke's also telling Jennifer that she's not crazy. He's trying to really hype her up on that. Jennifer is still refusing to go off her antipsychotic meds though, because she's not sure. She's a bit frightened. Wade tells Duke that someone tried to buy the Gull off of him in the time that Duke was gone for 6 months, and Duke's a bit upset about it. At the morgue, Nathan and Dwight discover that the incinerated, charred woman was connected to a family of firefighters. If we know anything about Troubles, could be related. Duke then confronts Vince and Dave real quick about them trying to buy the gull. So they did so because they didn't want another Crocker hanging around town killing troubled people. So that's what this weird plot line is, that everyone's worried about Wade joining the family curse sitch and starting to kill troubled people. Duke tells Vince and Dave, don't worry about it, I'll get Wade out of town. He'll never even have to know that we have a family curse where we can murder people and kill their trouble forever. Elsewhere, Jennifer is asking Dave about Haven's history. She's trying to learn more, figure out if she's hallucinating stuff or what the go is. Specifically, she wants to know more about the Troubles.
Supernatural ability that you don't want and can't control.
Dave quickly shows Jennifer a picture of Audrey and tells her that he thinks that she's for sure going to be able to find her. He's got faith in Jennifer. Next, we see Nathan roll up to the fire department in the Bronco. I've missed the Bronco. So the firefighters aren't keen on Nathan, like everyone else in town these days. No one's really loving him. The captain points out once again that everyone still has their troubles. The troubles are still a thing in Haven because of Nathan destroying the barn.
You want someone to blame for the destruction of the deaths? Look in the mirror.
Very sad stuff for our very sad boy season. So a woman then gets into a cab and then sees that her driver has also been incinerated. So that's continuing to happen. Nathan and Dwight go to check that out, and Jordan shows up to the crime scene. Mind your business. Get out of it. So Jordan doesn't want Nathan in the line of fire. She only wants Nathan to die when Audrey can kill him and cure the troubles. She wants him out of danger for selfish reasons. I want him out of danger because I love him. Jordan and I, not on the same page. At the bar again, William asks Lexi about her origin story and how she got to the bar. He's telling her that that's not real, that that's fake memories, and she does not agree with him. To be fair, he's not really easing her into any of this, he's just kind of dropping it all on her, and she's resisting. William also tells Lexi that she's been in love before to someone that she hasn't met in this lifetime. Lexi is super fed up with William's antics, she's had enough of him. William continues to tell her that she needs to remember what happened in a town called Haven. She just tells him to leave.
You need to finish your beer and get out.
Duke and Jennifer are waltzing through Haven, having a bit of a chat. It's very cute. Duke gives us a little bit more brother exposition about Wade, because we have to learn everything about Duke's family retroactively. Then Duke does something really interesting. He gives his perspective on the snow trip story that Nathan told Audrey back in season 1. Nathan got injured.
We were with this troubled kid. He broke his arm. It was so bad that the bone was sticking out of his body.
I have blood all over my coat, that bone sticking out of my arm. I never felt a thing.
That's the first time he realised his trouble was a thing. So we find out that Duke was the one that carried him to the hospital. I love them. I would watch a whole show about these two when they were kids together, their complex relationship, because their friendship has always been complicated. Also, Duke and Jennifer are really starting to show some chemistry. Duke's overall just a really sweet dude when he's around her. Sweet dude Duke. Duke heads back to the Gull and sees that Wade is not going to leave town, unfortunately, because he's just found out that his wife is cheating on him. So Wade's pretty upset about that, and Duke's pretty upset because now it's going to be pretty hard to get Wade out of town, and therefore away from the troubles and from the Crocker curse. So Jennifer's trying to just get a cup of coffee when she discovers a whole bunch of incinerated people at a cafe. So Nathan's still feeling quite sad, surprise, and he asks Jennifer if she saw anyone suspicious before the incineration happened. She tells us that she did in fact see a member of the fire department there, which is helpful. Duke shows up and wants Nathan to kind of back off of involving Jennifer with the troubles, for understandable reasons. The three of them now show up to the fire station, and the captain once again shuts Nathan down. Jennifer is able to identify the troubled guy though while they're there. Nathan quickly figures out how this trouble in particular works. He says this about guilt.
Guilt doesn't have to be rational.
We now of course know that Nathan is the one connecting to the troubled people, which is what Audrey used to do all the time. So Nathan's guilt is obviously connected to this guy who's burning people's guilt. It's all very guilty. Back at the bar, Lexi still wants William to leave, but he won't. He does take apart the gun from earlier. He kind of unpieces it together. I don't know anything about guns, I'm sorry. He pulls it apart and he leaves the pieces of gun on the bar. He then continues to try and get her on board with the fact that she's not really Lexi. She supposedly has this whole different life, according to William. Lexi doubles down again though. She's like, no, I'm Lexi, I'm a bartender, this is my sitch. This goes on for a while, the Lexi not believing William thing. A little bit exhausting, to be honest, but that's the go. So the random guy that brought in the gun shows up again, but this time with a bigger random guy. So now it's going to be small random guy and big random guy. So William tells Lexi that they are once again trying to stop him from telling her about who she is and getting her to recognize that. They want to kill William in order to stop Lexi from remembering who she is. Back in Haven, Jordan squares up to Vince and it's weird again. They keep doing this. Nathan is continuing to try and solve the troubles on his own, and he is doing a bit of a slay job. Nathan does start to get a little bit incinerated, though, just really quick, which is not ideal. Duke is currently telling Jordan to back off of Nathan and let him just solve the trouble. Nathan gives a speech to this fire guy. He's a fireman. Nathan's talking to this guy about the parallels between the two of them and the guilt that they both have.
I lost my partner too.
Once again, Nathan is very much serving Audrey with his direct connection to the troubled person. Duke, Jennifer and Jordan show up to Nathan after he solves the trouble, and Jordan roasts Nathan.
You damned us all.
Very dramatic. Duke tries to cheer Nathan up a little bit, sort of alleviate the sad boy season of it all. Nathan then admits that he's not sure why Audrey wouldn't have showed back up to Haven if she did make it out of the barn alive. So now we're having concerns that maybe she's dead. Sad boy season. Duke looks on the bright side, sort of, and says, well, maybe she's not Audrey anymore. Maybe she's tending bar with a nose ring. Speaking of, the random guys are currently really looking like they're gonna kill William, but Lexi decides to have a full-on Audrey moment, and she puts the gun back together, and then she fires at the random guys, scaring them off and saving William. Absolute slay. She doesn't know how she's done this though, because remember, she thinks she's never even been near a gun, and she just assembled one and shot at people. Regardless, it seems like William is actually making some progress about getting Lexi to realize that she's not Lexi. So good job, William. Back in Haven again, Jennifer is helping to wrap up Nathan's slightly incinerated hand wound. This is where she discovers that he can't feel.
I don't feel anything. That's my trouble.
Just a reminder, she thinks that he was getting beaten up last episode and actually feeling it to get paid. She also makes the connection that Nathan is the little boy from Duke's story about the snow trip and the injury. It's all very sweet. At the Gull again, Wade is tending bar whilst very drunk, which feels ill-advised. It does get him to open up to Duke about some more family exposition, but he does so very loudly and very much in public. Vince takes the time to roast Duke for not getting Wade out of town. He is trying though, Vince. I think you can just give us a second. Duke then steps outside to talk to Jennifer, and they have a really super nice, lovely scene. Jennifer finally pours out her meds and decides that it's not a psychological issue that she's got, it's a supernatural issue.
I'm troubled.
And troubled we can fix.
The episode closes out with Lexi confronting William about who she is and what's going on. Episode 3, we have Bad Blood. A guy steps down into a sewer to do maintenance. I'm assuming he gets attacked by something out of nowhere. Vince and Dave have come to the station to meet up with Dwight. Dwight has caught wind of a Jane Doe that's matching Audrey's appearance. So he tells Vince and Dave to go and identify her and see if it's Audrey.
If it is Audrey, bring her home.
That's rough stuff right there. Lexi is asking William who she is, where she is, what's going on. William tells her that she has to remember where she is specifically. William continues to be strange and vague, and then he leaves. And then he magically shows up again. Nathan is looking grumpy at the station, and it's quite nice, I'll be honest. Love him. So apparently the sewer guy was completely drained of blood. Dwight gets a call that now there's a second body drained of blood as well. Duke is currently asking Jennifer more about what she heard from the barn. Duke is also letting Jennifer stay in Audrey's loft because she's currently not here. The two of them bond and connect, and I think we can all feel where this is going. Jennifer accidentally cuts herself, and then Duke backs away, really frightened. He's scared of his trouble getting activated and going silver-eyed and stuff, but he doesn't explain that to Jennifer. Jordan is back stalking Nathan at the second crime scene. Nathan says he kind of gets it though, because at the end of the day he just wants Audrey to be okay, to come back to town, and then to murder him. Sad boy, and it's his season. Dwight points out to our delusional man that Audrey's not going to be down to kill him, and then Nathan just says, no she will, because I'm just going to tell her to do it. And she'll do it. No, she won't. Buddy, if you've seen the show, she's not going to do that. Once again, we get some more brother exposition, and Duke says that Wade doesn't want any of what their dad gave Duke.
You are not going to work out your daddy issues by piggybacking on my life.
and he's correct. Duke really wants Wade out of town and away from the Crocker curse. He's like, I need you away from this. This is scary stuff.
Crockers aren't supposed to live together.
So then we get a scene of a naked woman behind some frosted shower glass. Blood starts to drip onto her out of the shower head, which takes me on my weird tangent that's not really relevant, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. I haven't talked yet about the lack of hypersexualization of our main characters, but it's never really been a big, overdone, gratuitous thing. Overall, it's just very refreshing to see. I am acutely aware that this has probably got a lot to do with the fact that this is a sci-fi show and not, for instance, I don't know, a CW show, for one example maybe. I just wanted to call it out because for the past 3 seasons, it's not something I've appreciated, and now I am appreciating it. Mostly because this season is where they start to actually amp up the nudity. But previous to this, good job, Haven. It never gets super exploitative, but there's certainly some more nakedness coming our way though. I just had to say that this is something that I appreciate in a TV show. I had to say it at some point, so here we are. Oh yeah, the woman from the shower, she explodes into like a blood explosion. That's what happens to her. Nathan and Dwight show up to the scene and find 0 blood. Despite the blood explosion, there's no blood at the scene. Jordan is stalking at the crime scene once again. Girl, get out of here. Her and Dwight spot a blood monster heading down the drain. Back at the bar, William tells Lexi that it's not actually really a bar. Poor girl is getting really overwhelmed and she's in denial again. She's kind of going back and forth between denial and trying to accept things. It's a lot for her. William is just happily chilling whilst Lexi's having an existential breakdown. Jennifer is happily having a nap upstairs when she's awoken by some noise that she thinks is coming from downstairs at the Gull, but it's not coming from there. Nathan, Dwight and Jordan discuss the trouble. Lexi is now fully spiraling at the bar. She's lost it. It's so real of her. Lexi leaves the bar and then just reappears and everyone acts like it's the next day. Maybe this isn't really a bar. Duke and Jennifer are waiting for Nathan at the station to talk about the hearing noises that aren't kind of their thing. She's concerned again now that maybe she does have some kind of a auditory hallucination psychological disorder and that it's not a supernatural thing. The blood monster shows up to the station and kills a cop, and then it comes after Duke and Jennifer. Some of the blood from the blood monster drops onto Duke and then soaks into his skin, and then his trouble gets activated, which of course means we get to see those silver eyes that we've been missing. It's been a minute since we've got to see those bad boys. They're back. Nathan and crew now show up. Jordan once again oversteps and tells Jennifer about Duke's trouble before he has the chance to do so himself. The blood reappears at the station and it seems to be targeting Nathan. It's targeting Nathan like everyone in town.
You think the blood is mad at Nathan?
Jennifer has also made this valid observation.
Based on what I've seen since I've been in town, everything is mad at Nathan.
This blood is on a mission for my man. Back at the bar, Lexi continues to be very confused. William is just sitting there very smug. What happened to being helpful? Lexi asks William if she's dead, and maybe this is some kind of purgatory sitch, which is very sad. Back at the station, Duke decides to absorb all of the blood from the blood monster with his trouble in order to protect and save Nathan. Bromance Town. It's in full swing. So the absorption of this entire blood monster seems to have taken a toll on Duke. Jennifer checks in on him. Duke now explains to her, and possibly to us for the first time, that he gets a very explicit high whenever his trouble is activated by troubled blood.
Feels amazing.
Duke clarifies to Jennifer that that's why he really needs Wade out of town and away from the Crocker curse. He doesn't want Wade to activate his trouble and then get a thirst for it and then possibly go around murdering people in order to get his fix. Do we remember that this show likes to foreshadow things? Elsewhere in the station, Jordan talks to Nathan about how desperate she is for the troubles to go away forever. She does have a pretty difficult trouble to deal with. I should recognize that. I'm sure life is hard for her. I just can't like her. I can't bring myself to do it. Vince and Dave are now finally about to go identify the Jane Doe that we think might be Audrey. Vince says that he just wants to see her foot. If you don't remember the kind of obscure plot from season 1, then this is going to sound like a really scary and creepy thing for him to do.
And this brings us back to the Lucy foot story.
He is actually looking for the scar on her foot that Lucy got, that then obviously Audrey still had because they're the same person. So he's looking for that scar in order to confirm that it's Audrey or not. Surprise, there's no foot scar and therefore Audrey's not dead. Where she is though, is at some kind of a bar, struggling with her existence. William tells her that she's not dead, which gives us a bit of comfort, but we did just find out that she's not because the dead person didn't have a scar on their foot. This show is never going to get easier to explain. Why have I done this to myself? Whilst William and Lexi are having this conversation in the bar, Jennifer back in Haven can actually hear it in her head. William tells Lexi that no one else in the bar with them is real. So finally, Lexi starts to believe William, and then everyone in the bar disappears. Duke and Dwight are hanging out at the Gull, having their weird kind of buddies dynamic thing that they have. Wade shows up and Dwight dips out instantly, which is very funny and quite relatable. I'm not a big Wade fan. Jennifer quickly runs up to Duke and tells him to go get Nathan because she's got developments. So Jennifer tells him that she's heard Audrey trapped inside of a barn. Did I just say barn? Do we know that yet? Oh my god. If we haven't learnt that yet, we'll just call that foreshadowing on my part. You're welcome. Duke reminds us all that time moves differently in the barn.
6 months out here only felt like a few seconds to me.
Which then makes Nathan point out that if Audrey is still in there, then the barn could still be imploding whilst she's in there. And it's just taking a long time to implode on barn time. But on outside of barn time, it's already been destroyed for 6 months. William tells Lexi that she's in a place with many names, but it's recently been known to her as the barn. So that's where we learn that she's in the barn, but it's just a bar now. Oh dear, it's the barn that's imploding that Nathan destroyed, and it's a whole thing. That's where she is. So William shares Nathan's sentiment about needing to get the hell out of there.
It's dying. It's gonna take you with it.
We then start to see cracks and holes in the barn bar situation, which indicates that shit is kind of getting real. Lexi better get out of there ASAP. Episode 4 is Lost and Found. We open with a mother and child reciting the Lord's Prayer. The mother leaves the room and then we hear a very scary kid laugh. The child does some suspicious activity and then says bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't like any of it. The mother arrives back in the room the next morning and then discovers that the child has disappeared. Dwight and Nathan arrive at the missing child scene. They think that the child has climbed up into a vent, which would be kind of a wild thing for a child to do, but it's a child from Haven, so all bets are off. At the bar, Lexi is drinking her troubles away whilst getting some barn exposition from William. Lexi asks William who he is and he's really vague about it. Surprise. William tells Lexi to open her mind to the truth. He's giving guru right now. William tells Lexi that there's a door to Haven that she needs to make appear. She needs to make this door apparate somehow. Lexi starts opening herself up to everything that's happening, and then she can see that the barn is dying. The barn bar. William makes it clear that this is a bit of an issue.
What if I can't find this door?
You will cease to exist.
A bit of an existential issue. Jennifer overhears this, which I'm sure continues to be really fun for her. Duke, Nathan and Jennifer head out to Kick 'em Jenny Neck, because that's where the barn disappeared, / where Nathan destroyed it and stuff. Where all that happened, where the season 3 finale happened. That was on Kick 'em Jenny Neck. Duke thought that being at the location of the barn might help Jennifer hear more from the barn currently. Jennifer has now told Duke that if Audrey doesn't make it out of this magical door that they're talking about, then she's gonna die. Nathan hears this and is not thrilled. Duke tells Nathan to go back into Haven and do his job, and Duke is going to help Jennifer hear more from the barn and figure out what to do. Duke gets Jennifer to do yoga. It's very fun. At the station, Dwight and Nathan find out that another child has gone missing, and it looks like another elaborate escape from an actual child. Dwight talks a little bit about his dead daughter again. That's always a nice reminder each season that Dwight has a dead daughter. Dwight and Nathan then share a very nice exchange.
You're a good chief, Dwight.
I kind of love them. I love the vulnerability of the men on this show. Keep talking about your feelings. I enjoy it. Something that I enjoy a lot less is when the two of them review some security footage. Oh my god, I forgot how terrifying this episode was. That image of that little child creature, why are they doing that on this little sci-fi show? Why are they doing that? That doesn't need to be so scary. Back on Duke's boat, him and Jennifer are now trying meditation. They're switching it up. Vince and Dave get wind that the crew are looking for a door that Audrey might come through from the barn, and Dave has a really weird reaction. Nathan and Dwight are now leading a search party for the missing children. Nathan calls Duke to check in on Jennifer's progress with locating Audrey.
Fantastic!
Then Jordan shows up behind him because she continues to be a stalker. Nathan proves to her, though, that he doesn't need any guilt tripping. He's got that covered.
17. That's how many people have died because of the trouble since I shot Howard. And I think about them with every breath I take.
We absolutely hate to see it. It's such sad boy season. It's so rough. He's absolutely hell-bent on Audrey coming back and murdering him in order to right all the wrongs that he thinks he's responsible for, which he kind of is, but this is a lot, buddy. It's too much. I can't stop defending him. I love him, but that's beside the point.
I will find Audrey. She will kill me. Then I won't have to think anymore about all the pain that I've caused this town.
He's very, very sad. Jordan does seem to have a bit of a heart about it though, so that's nice. But Nathan just overall needs some therapy right now. If only the psychiatrist that had a specialty in helping troubled people was still around. But she was killed by his daughter-in-law last season. Vince and Dave tell Nathan about creatures called the Dwen. I can't remember if that's how you pronounce it. Dwen feels right. I think it's Dwen. It'll be embarrassing if it's not though.
Caribbean legend called Dwen.
So someone's trouble is causing these Dwen to appear and steal children. Really don't like this trouble. I don't like creepy kid stuff. It's not my thing. We see another kid haunted by the weird child laugh, and then the kid disappears again. Jennifer has a breakthrough with hearing the barn, and then we hear William and Lexi talking again. Duke's little wellness retreat has been quite successful. William fills us in on the fact that Lexi has to find a door to Haven, as we know, and then the folks in Haven also have to find a door to the barn on their end. So there's 2 doors involved now.
Stop, wait, you have 2 doors now?
Yes, one that you must open and one that they must open.
William continues to try and coach Lexi as to how to find her door and make it appear in the barn.
Okay, so now you want me to hear a door.
Would that be the strangest thing I've asked you to do?
So Jennifer has heard the news about the double door situation. She's also started hearing a phantom foghorn. Back with Nathan and Dwight and trying to find the stolen children, Nathan has 0 patience left.
I'll call for a search warrant.
Well, let me know when you get it.
So Nathan and Dwight figure out who they think has the trouble that are making the Dwen appear. So they think it's this woman who is currently in the woods dancing around with all of the stolen missing kids. And the Dwen are there too. Duke and Jennifer realise that they have to find the foghorn in order to find the door. Lexi can also hear the foghorn, and it helps her find her door. Foghorns and doors all round, so.
Find the foghorn, find the door.
Find the foghorn.
Great.
Hope you've got a grasp on that. So Lexi opens her door, and it looks like just a sci-fi valley is really the only description I can think of. Dwight and Nathan arrive at the woods to save the kids, but get attacked by the Dwen. Back at the barn, William tells Lexi that she has to take a leap of faith into the sci-fi valley and just hope that the folks in Haven have opened their door as well. Otherwise she's gonna sort of die in the sci-fi valley. Plot twist really quick, back in Haven, it's actually the husband that's creating the Dwen, and it's actually a really sad trouble. For something so scary, it's actually quite heavy. It even causes Nathan to bring up his dead son.
I might even be responsible for his death.
That's how sad it is. Jordan is still creeping on Nathan, kind of following him around. Duke and Jennifer have now found their door, but only Jennifer can see it. Nathan heads over to the door and sees that Jennifer can't actually open it. She can only see it for right now. So Jordan has followed Nathan to the door. She's there to make sure that once Audrey comes out of the door, she kills Nathan straight away. Just murders him right off the bat. On the barn side of door things, Lexi is preparing to jump through her door. This now causes everyone back in Haven to be able to see the door. So everyone can see all the doors happening now. Dave shows up to door time and tells everyone not to open the door. He doesn't want doors to be opened. He says some things that sound quite scary.
Unleash powers far beyond our control.
On the other side of the doors, William tells Lexi that he can't come with her through the doors, but he's pretty sure that they'll meet again soon. Jordan quickly uses her trouble on Dave to stop him from stopping them from opening the door. Nathan is still very adamant that he's going to get Audrey to kill him once she comes through the door in order to end the troubles forever. Lexi is quite curious about the whole William telling her that she's not Lexi thing, so she asks him a fairly important question.
Who will I be?
Whoever you most want to be.
Who does she most want to be? Could it be our girl? Could it just? So Lexi steps through the door, and then everyone on Haven's side of things gets blown back. The door has now disappeared, but there's someone laying on the grass that looks a lot like Lexi. Nathan immediately heads over to her. He's calling her Audrey right now, by the way. The two of them sit up and have a very sweet moment. She seems a little bit confused right now, especially at all the guns going on. Nathan grabs his gun and hands it to her. She's further confused about this. So Nathan now really quickly explains to her about how the troubles haven't gone away. Nathan then gives her a very sad kiss, and then he begins begging her to kill him. However, she says this.
Who is Audrey? My name is Lexi.
It's still Lexi. Episode 5 is the new girl, and boy does she make a splash. I've bought a beverage as well to celebrate. Also, the next few episodes are going to be a lot, so figured this was necessary. Cheers to Lexi being in Haven. So everyone's a little bit shook at the fact that it's Lexi and not Audrey who's come through the door. Lexi is very confused and would like to know what's going on with all of the gunplay. Jordan still really wants her to shoot Nathan. She's like, no, this is still happening. Duke speaks some logic to Jordan about how it won't work. The troubles won't be cured forever because this is not Audrey. Lexi does not love Nathan. So there's no sci-fi love curing the troubles happening because Lexi doesn't even know Nathan. Jordan's not having it though. She's like, no, Nathan's still gonna die. Chaos very quickly ensues. Duke's throwing punches and telling Nathan to run into the forest because now everyone's trying to shoot and kill him. Duke also gets some troubled blood on him and goes silver-eyed, which is always a pleasure to see. Jordan tells the guard to chase after Nathan. Go shoot this man. Lexi appears to be just chilling. She doesn't really know what to do right now. Nathan is zooming away into the woods in order to avoid the gunfire. He does, however, get knocked out by a shotgun, and thank God this man can't feel because that looked like a solid hit. That's another for sure concussion for Nathan. The guard gathers around Nathan and Vince and Dave try to talk everyone down. Duke shows up and also tries to stop the murder of Nathan. It unfortunately does look like it's about to go down though, until Lexi shows up and starts firing her gun into the air. Well, Nathan's gun that he just gave her, she's putting that to use. Lexi really gets to shine when she shows up to Haven. She's just so good. Calling Nathan cheekbones.
Reason why y'all are trying to blow away cheekbones here.
That's good stuff. Jordan tries to square up to Lexi and is quickly humbled by her. Duke pipes up and tries to reason with the very chaotic Lexi energy.
And I would actually prefer that they didn't shoot cheekbones here either.
Duke goes over to Vince and says that he's got a plan to keep Nathan alive and end the trouble still. He feels like he can do both. Everyone is now at the Herald chatting about Duke's plan. Jennifer says she knows that the barn is fully gone now. She can confirm that. She tries to see the positive in the situation.
On the upside, I might be normal again, so.
But Party Pooper Jordan is here to just ruin everyone's day. She can't let anyone have any fun, ever. Duke continues to advocate for how good his plan is, but he and Jordan continue to bicker about it until Vince tells everyone to pull their heads in. I really like that Duke and Jordan are kind of serving cranky sibling energy.
Whatever you can to keep your friend alive.
You just want to kill him, sweetheart. Look.
And that kind of continues a little bit. I quite enjoy it. Nathan and Lexi are chilling on their own in a separate room, and they're kind of giving kids in detention, which is very cute. We also get a call back to the pilot.
Can't feel it.
Tough guy.
Can't feel it.
Oh, tough guy.
Lexi goes over to have a look at Nathan's head wound, and when she touches him, he's obviously shocked once again by being able to feel her. Lexi would like to know what's up, understandably. Nathan reassures her, but it is a little sad because it's still sad boy season. Lexi explains the absolute absurdity of her situation.
Then I went through a supernatural door. I landed here and people just put guns in my hands.
Nathan asks her a little bit about who she is. He also asks her if she's met Howard while she was in the barn. She obviously didn't, so she just tells Nathan a little bit about William and kind of how strange he was. But also, Nathan, you're very aware at how much you killed Howard last season. You shot him up. Lexi definitely did not interact with that man. He's very dead. Vince now brings Lexi and Nathan into town together. Then Dwight fills Nathan in on a trouble. He's confused because he was just almost getting killed and now he's being told about the trouble of the week. Duke finally shares his plan with us all. He says that if Audrey killing Nathan was what was going to solve the troubles, his plan is to get Lexi to fall in love with Nathan.
Same rule should apply if Lexi falls for you.
Which I find very funny. Nathan hates this plan and roasts Lexi a little bit, which is uncalled for. She's an icon and she saved your life. So the current plan is to have the two of them work together because that's kind of how they fell in love the first time. So Duke thinks it's going to happen again. If they solve troubles together, they'll fall in love. Like I said, it's a very funny and very absurd plot line. It's very sci-fi.
This is your plan, remember? Different girl this time.
I do kind of love it. So Lexi has disappeared and then we hear her scream. So she's run into a crazy guy and she's not loving Haven so far. This guy slits his throat in front of them. I don't really know what else to say about that. So Nathan is pretty much shut down emotionally, which we thought had already happened, but it's really happening now. So he's not doing his detective job very well because of this. So Duke has to pick up the slack and play detective. Our trio, remixed with Lexi this time instead of Audrey, discuss the plan. Duke also roasts Nathan about his lack of game with Lexi. Duke then tells Nathan to start being a good cop again, because that's when Audrey fell for him, is when he was detectiving, and Audrey loved that. So they all decide to go to the hospital to chase up the trouble situation with the guy that did the very gory thing earlier. I was going to say that this season steps up the gore, but I've remembered the pieces of faces that got chopped up last season, so
Missing pieces of women's faces. It's very unfortunate.
I guess we're just pretty much on par. So with this trouble, there's a guy named Tyler. Tyler's in the hospital, and he was friends with the guy that just died, graphically. So Tyler is currently blaming the weird situation on his girlfriend. Such a weird trouble. So Duke feels bad for this kid Tyler, and he gives him a drink ticket for the girl. Elsewhere, Lexi hears Duke trying to talk up Nathan, so they explain to her a little bit about the troubles, and she asks a very fair question.
Why the hell does anybody still live here?
I don't know the answer. I guess it's just a cute little quaint town, if you ignore all of the death, if you can get past that. So the girlfriend of Tyler, she gets weirdly possessed and then walks in front of a moving vehicle and gets killed by it. She gets run over. The trio arrive at the scene, and Lexi thinks that maybe solving all of this weirdness is what William was talking about in the barn.
William told me that I belonged in Haven.
Jennifer shows up with some of Audrey's clothes, and Lexi is very unimpressed by Audrey's style. Duke admits to Jennifer that he was totally just improvising with the plan to have Lexi fall in love with Nathan. Duke very much had a yes and moment in the forest. He just improv'd it up very impressively. It was a good one. So Duke then tells Jennifer to stay away from the trouble in order to protect her. Jennifer gets a little bit sensitive about that. So Jordan is now day drinking at the Gull, and then Wade rocks up. Unfortunately for me, the two of them start flirting, which means we're going to get more scenes of just the two of them together. Two of my favourite people. How exciting. The trio are back at the station again, and Lexi humbles Nathan.
War knows.
Warn us.
So Lexi figures out that the trouble situation is actually Tyler, the kid in the hospital's trouble. So he's possessing his friends, getting them to die in graphic situations because he found out that the two of them were cheating on him together. It's a bit complex, a bit soapy, but you've just got to stick with me here. It's possession. Duke approves of Nathan and him stepping up his enthusiasm levels towards Lexi. At the hospital, our troubled guy Tyler possesses a nurse and then gets the nurse to die. Once again, this is a very wild trouble of the week case. It does pay off, but you've got to stay with me. So the trio figure out that Tyler has to kill the person that he's possessing in order to jump back into his own body. So he possessed his friend, and each time the death caused him to jump back into his own body. Lexi then asks Nathan another very valid question.
The rest of the world know about this town.
Which actually gives us some of Nathan's trademark sarcasm.
Just us lucky ones.
It's back. Duke calls Nathan and Lexi into the basement of the hospital. Surprise, Tyler's possessed Duke now. Nathan confronts Tyler Duke, which is what I'm going to call Duke while he's possessed by Tyler. It's Tyler Duke. Nathan confronts him about how he needs physical objects from the person he's possessing in order to possess them. So he's got Duke's drink ticket, so he's possessing Duke. Tyler Duke then says he's going to stay in Duke forever. Tyler's actual body is not doing so hot right now. It's kind of dying and sort of seizing up and stuff, and it's just overall it's not looking very healthy. So he says that he's just going to stay in Duke forever. Now, he's never going to go back. Tyler Duke locks Nathan and Lexi inside of the storeroom. Dwight and Jordan visit a bunker where he, Vince and Dave have been working on finding any alternative ways to solve the troubles forever. They've come up with nothing new. Jordan then thinks out loud about getting Duke to kill Lexi just to kind of see what happens and see if maybe the troubles are Lexi's trouble.
Maybe the troubles are her trouble.
So she thinks that a crocker killing Lexi might solve the troubles forever. So Tyler Duke then visits the Gull and is very weird and suspicious to Wade. So then Wade super casually suggests that if Tyler was to kill his original body, then he would get to stay in the possessed body forever. So strange of Wade to say, because he just found out about the troubles. It's a weird and wild episode. I've got to let it go. Wade does eventually figure out that it's not Duke, and then Tyler Duke hits him in the face. Back in the storage room, Lexi and Nathan are just chilling. Lexi seems to be enjoying stirring Nathan a little bit. She's a well-travelled girly.
You've done peyote.
Sure. This morning I flew through a multi-dimensional door.
Nathan seems to soften up to Lexi a little bit, which is exciting. So he suggests pancakes, which as we know are an important kind of connection between Nathan and Audrey. Pancakes, just
Bookmark it. Thank you.
However, Lexi has the worst possible reaction to this suggestion. So the moment between the two of them has disappeared. Jennifer shows up at the Gull because she's still feeling a bit sensitive about Duke telling her to kind of piss off earlier. Tyler Duke is obviously there, and he gets really weird with Jennifer. So weird, in fact, that he just kisses her out of nowhere. Jennifer doesn't, in fact, hate it. She's kind of down for it, but she does tell him to put the brakes on. Nathan is currently jamming himself against a door in an effort to break out of the storage room, and he's probably breaking bones, if we really think about it. Lexi starts to pick the lock, and Nathan gets very candid and very blunt with her. She seems genuinely hurt by this, and it upsets me. Tyler Duke and Jennifer rock up to the hospital, because as we know, Tyler wants to kill his own body, which is in the hospital, so that he can stay inside of Duke's body forever. Jennifer finally starts to catch on that it's not Duke anymore, so she stabs him in the leg with a pen. Tyler Duke then runs into the building to go kill his own body. Nathan and Lexi run up to Jennifer and she fills them in on what's just happened. Lexi is adjusting quite well to Haven.
Yeah, he's been possessed. I'm getting used to it.
So the issue is that Nathan's given him a business card and Jennifer's left her pen in his leg. If Tyler has a physical object from a person, he can possess them. It's a weird possession trouble. Jennifer then points out that Lexi will be immune to Tyler, just like Audrey would have been. Lexi kind of digs the whole immune thing. She's kind of excited about that. Nathan, however, is not excited about her now knowing that she's immune. So Lexi now points out that she's pretty much their only chance to save Duke, and she also thinks that maybe she's just destined to do this kind of thing, to just save people from troubles. Yeah, babe. That's your thing. So Lexi now runs in to try and save Duke on her own. So she finds Tyler's body in there, but then Tyler Duke finds her. He also happens to be wielding an axe and looking very ready to use it. Tyler Duke asks Lexi if she's willing to die for Duke, and Lexi says, "Sorry, Duke, I don't really know you like that, so I'm out." It's fair, because she's just met everyone, and it's actually quite funny. So then, in a really fun twist of events that's going to be a bit hard to explain, Tyler Duke kills his own body, which then causes his blood to get on Duke's body, and okay, alright, let me think about this. Tyler Duke kills Tyler's body, getting his blood on Duke. Duke's used his Crocker curse unintentionally while possessed by Tyler to kill Tyler's curse and save himself. Is that okay? It's very convenient overall. That is important for me to note. So Duke now explains to Lexi how his trouble works and what's gone on, and hopefully me including that clip explains it a bit better, because I don't really know how to do that.
When I kill a troubled person, I kill their trouble too. Tyler couldn't control me anymore.
Duke then mentions how close of a call it was for him, almost being possessed forever. That was really strange how that transpired. Later, Lexi tells Nathan how she feels a bit bad for getting scared and not saving Duke. She then asks Nathan what the deal was with him and Audrey. Nathan explains that it was complicated. Yes, it was. This? Complicated. Our man is very much in his feels and missing Audrey a lot. Sad boy season. At the Gull, Duke and Wade are having a chat, and Wade is pissed that Duke is still secretive about their family. He'd like to know about what's going on there. Duke then limps over to Jennifer, who recently stabbed him in the leg with a pen. Duke offers Jennifer a room on his boat now that Lexi is going to move into Audrey's old loft. Jennifer then asks Duke if he remembers kissing her. They are just so great together. I really like it. So now Jordan is waiting outside the Gull for Wade. I don't like it. To close out the episode, Lexi shows up to the Gull. She asks Duke a little bit about what it was like when she lived there and kind of what that vibe was. Duke jokes and says that she owes him 6 months' rent. Gotta love Duke. Gotta love him even more when he asks Lexi about what happened with Tyler Duke and all of that. He's inquiring further. Lexi apologizes to him for abandoning the situation. She just says that she was real scared and wanted to get out of there, but Duke calls her out.
I think you knew that my curse would kick in and save me.
Lexi says that she doesn't know anything about Duke's trouble, his Crocker curse. She's got no idea what that is. Then Duke points out that Audrey would.
Raji Parker would.
She would know all about it. Then she freezes. Duke's figured it out.
Isn't that right, Audrey?
Damn it, Duke.
It's been Audrey the whole time. Audrey is the one that landed on the hill. Cheers to Audrey being in Haven. I lied to you about it being Lexi, but it's still worthy of celebration. Episode 6 is Countdown, and the drama is starting to heat up this season. Also, I'm a lot further into my drink, so things are getting good. So we start off this episode with a guy on his phone, and then he turns grey and drops dead. And that's our cold open. So at Audrey's loft, her and Duke are discussing Audrey's mindset on pretending to be Lexi when she landed in Haven.
If anyone figures out that you're Audrey, that they'll kill Nathan. So you decide to pretend to be the person you were in the bar.
Which makes sense because everyone was telling her to kill Nathan, so she was like, I'm gonna just be Lexi right here. Our girl is not about to just kill Mr. Nathan Warnos. So Audrey explains that unlike Lucy and Sarah, Audrey remembers being Lexi. She recalls all of that.
Unlike Sarah or Lucy, I remember Lexi, okay, like a dream.
Nathan then rolls up to the gull in the Bronco, and Audrey makes Duke promise not to tell him that she's Audrey and not steal Lexi. Nathan enters the loft and Audrey switches on Lexi mode. It's very impressive. Duke offers to help Nathan with the trouble while Lexi runs clerical errands at the station.
They'll say things like 10-4 and copy that and like eat donuts and stuff.
Wade and Jordan are on Duke's boat and they seem like they're going to hook up, which is gross, but Jordan reminds him that that would be quite a painful experience. Then she tells him a little bit about the Crocker curse. She loves to tell people about that. I just despise the two of them. At the crime scene, we meet Gloria, our new medical examiner. She used to work with Nathan's dad / the chief. She's an absolute icon. She explains how the guy that went grey died. She questions Duke's presence at the crime scene.
I bought weed from you.
Gloria is just constantly serving no bullshit, and we love her collectively, okay? We love Gloria. So Vicky Voodoo Drawing Girl from season 1 is Gloria's intern.
Voodoo drawings.
Yeah, I keep her away from the paperwork.
The girl that can draw people and then those drawings can be used to kill people, remember her? Duke shares my sentiments for Gloria.
Oh, I like her.
So the current theory about the trouble is that something on the victim's phone killed him. Vince and Jordan have another strange conversation, which they're known to do. Vince calls her out for trying to activate Wade's trouble, which she does need calling out for, because once again, Jordan's trying to have a Crocker kill Lexi to hopefully end the troubles, and she has zero reason to think that that would work, but she still wants to do it, just to fuck around and find out, I guess. So when Vince expresses his hatred for that plan, she uses her trouble on him and abducts him, testing me 24/7. Elsewhere, an officer leaves a store in which the owner of the store is trying to report a robbery of his store. This is one of those things that feels weird for me to mention, but is relevant later. Side note that I think is important to be aware of, there's a new private school in town that only accepts non-troubled kids.
Schools excluding troubled kids.
If the Troubles were not an analogy for minorities before this point, oof, we've gotten there. So the officer that abandoned the robbed store owner then looks at his phone or a screen or something, but he goes all grey and then dies too. The important thing is that he was looking at a digital screen when it happened. Duke calls Audrey and tells her to keep avoiding Nathan so that he doesn't find out that she's Audrey, because that would mean that he would want her to kill him. It's still sad boy season. Audrey does point out that that method is not going to work forever. They're going to have to interact at some point. Wade shows up at the station and he's eyeing up Audrey very creepily. Audrey puts on the Lexi show and Wade introduces himself to her. She shoos him away, rightfully so, but he's left... I have to talk about the spy pen now. So Wade has left a spy pen in Audrey and Nathan's office. A spy pen? So yeah, there's a spy pen in the office, which is frankly just rude. So Nathan then asks Duke about the situation with Jennifer and kind of if they're like on or not. And then Nathan brings up Duke's love confession for Audrey from the season 3 finale. And this is the only time we're addressing that, just FYI. Duke gets uncomfortable about being reminded of that because he's clearly moved on, but Nathan says that he's glad if Duke does love her because he wants someone to still be around to look after Lexi once Nathan is killed by her.
Keep an eye on Lexi when I'm gone.
Such a sad man.
I'm gonna end the troubles, Duke.
I just want him to be happy. If he was ever allowed to do that, that'd be great. At the trouble segregation school, the principal sees a countdown on his watch, but Nathan can't see it. It's also on this principal's phone and on his computer. When this countdown gets to 0, the principal dies. And that's where we get our countdown title from. It's a countdown to death. Next up, there's a coach at a school who says that his scoreboard won't stop counting down. So this countdown is showing up on every screen around him as well, but once again, no one else can see it. Just a reminder here as well that Jordan has abducted Vince. Jordan's a real pain for me. Then she visits Wade on Duke's boat. I'd love it if the two of them could just get off of Duke's boat. Wade puts some gloves on and they very uncomfortably start to hook up. They're also simultaneously stalking Lexi with the spy pen. So Jordan explains to Wade a little bit about how the crock of trouble works, namely the whole blood and superhuman strength part, which gets him excited. On their spy pen now, they see that Nathan is entering the station and the guy whose store was robbed and then he was ignored by police. He's trying to chase after Nathan to get help with the fact that his store was robbed, but Nathan's a little bit busy with all the people dying, so he brushes him off. So Jordan and Wade are very much stalking Lexi on their spy pen. Inside of Nathan and Audrey's office, her and Duke are discussing the trouble, the countdown to death trouble. Audrey can also see the countdown because she's immune, obviously, so she can see how long people have left to live. So they bring the coach into the office to try and have him not have access to screens and therefore not see the countdown reach 0, but it reaches 0 and he dies anyway. That did not work. So then Audrey notices that the countdown starts again, and this time Nathan can see it counting down. Back with Wade and Jordan, because we have to keep checking in on them, they rewind their spy pen footage and realize that the guy whose store was robbed is the one that's causing the countdowns and the death. Audrey quickly figures out that too though, because this is not her first rodeo. I think I'm just going to call her Audrey now, despite the fact that she's acting like Lexi around everyone except Duke. Speaking of though, Nathan notices a slip up. Audrey tries to move past it, but Nathan's also feeling confused about how Lexi is suddenly really good at solving troubles. That seems weird to him. So Audrey looks down at Nathan's death countdown, and because she's scared that he might die, she's prompted to just tell him that it's her. She admits to him that she's Audrey.
Parker?
Yeah.
It's very good. Big fan of it. Nathan asks her why she didn't tell him earlier, and she just spits facts.
You wanted me to shoot you.
Straight facts. Duke walks into the scene and realizes that Audrey's told Nathan that she's Audrey. Bromance Town is still well and truly alive. Now we all have to track down the troubled guy that's causing the countdown so that Nathan doesn't die when the countdown reaches 0. So the trio head to the store, the robbed guy's store, and guess who's there already? It's Jordan. So she's heard Audrey's I'm Audrey confession through the spy pen. Audrey doubles down and says that she's for sure Lexi and she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not Audrey, she's Lexi. Jordan is hiding the troubled countdown guy somewhere so that Audrey will kill Nathan to make his death count for something, because he's gonna die anyway because of the countdown trouble. So she's like, you kill him or his death will mean nothing. So because it's still sad boy season, Nathan gets on board with that plan. He's like, yes, Audrey, it's time to kill me and stop the troubles forever. Audrey refuses, which we all predicted. Then my second least favourite person in Haven shows up to the scene. Wade's here now. He would like to get some troubled blood on him and activate his trouble killing curse. He'd like to get a move on that. No one is on board, not a soul. Jordan is continuing to threaten Audrey and Nathan, and Audrey delivers a trademark roast. Audrey finds the troubled guy, who it looks like was just around a corner. I don't know if I'm just confused about what happened there, but it feels like she just kind of put him behind a wall. This is not important. I'm sorry. Elsewhere in the store, Wade is telling Duke that he really wants the Crocker curse. He's really keen for that, if we could get that going. Duke is of course not down to give that to him. We can't give it to him, he's already got it. He's not down for Wade to activate it. Audrey starts to work her trouble-solving magic on Countdown Guy. Jordan continues to test both mine and Duke's patience.
Shut up, Jordan! Do you want to get shot?
Nathan now has seconds left on his countdown, and he's really keen on Audrey just killing him. Nathan is saved at the last second. Thank God. I don't think I can deal with another Nathan death. We are back in the absolute trenches with dead Nathan.
Oh my god.
Wade re-enters the scene out of nowhere and stabs Countdown Guy. Just stabs him. This, of course, means that he gets the Trouble Guy's blood on him and therefore activates his curse. His trouble killing trouble is officially activated. Insufferable character. Even Jordan is appalled by this behaviour, and I usually find her just as insufferable. Duke says that he'll go after Wade and sort that out. I don't know how, but that's what he says he's going to do. Jordan lets Vince go, because remember she had him kind of locked up in a shed. So Jordan now seems to have been changed by the whole experience. I guess she's finally realising how awful she's been, so that's really nice. Then she says she's gonna leave Haven. Thank God. Back at the station, Audrey and Nathan are adorable. Nathan says that he's glad she's back, and then she says this.
Why are you glad to have me back?
Elaborate, sir. Unfortunately, Nathan is a guy about it and just says this.
What do you mean?
He's like, I don't know what you mean. I don't want to acknowledge my feelings. He does regret it immediately though.
Are you mad at me?
No.
You're mad at me.
Audrey now finally gets to confront Nathan with her feelings about what he did in the season 3 finale. It's a really great confrontation, and they have a few of those coming up this season. I love them. I think they're always really well done.
I couldn't let you go.
To be the one to let you go, and I won't do it.
Our girl is standing her ground, and I'm proud of her. I love him. I always love him, but he needs to be humbled about this. Nathan says, but I've made a deal with the guard, so I do need you to kill me and cure the troubles. He thought this was a decision that he could make. Audrey tells him that he's super wrong about that.
I love you, so that makes this my decision.
They just can't have a happy moment. They can't. Jordan and Wade are hanging out, and she says that she just wanted to say goodbye to him before she leaves Haven. So she's definitely on the way out, which is exciting. Jordan admits that she was wrong about her plan for Wade to end the troubles by killing someone. She hasn't told him who though, but she says, I was wrong about that. That was kind of a crazy idea of mine. Good job, Jordan. Proud of you. Wade then talks about how good it felt to have his trouble activated, despite the fact that he had to stab someone in order to trigger it. So that's alarming. Something else that's alarming is the fact that he slices open Jordan's leg, touches her troubled blood in order to feel the high again. He then tries to get her to tell him what her plan was. Who were you going to get me to kill in order to end the troubles forever? Mostly just because he would like to kill more people. Jordan doesn't tell him though, because she's turning over a new leaf. She no longer wants him to kill Lexi just to see what happens. So he straight up murders Jordan. R.I.P. Jordan. I hated you for the most part, but I do respect that you tried to become a better person. And I think it would have been interesting to see a redemption arc, like a real full one, and then have her be killed. I think that would have been really interesting. Alas, she's been stabbed in the gut by Wade in a car. So Wade is officially insane now, and he's a murderer. Episode 7 is Lay Me Down. I've topped up because, oh boy, this one's a doozy, that's for sure. Cheers to episode 7. You're not ready. I'm not ready. So Duke is currently trying to contact Wade, his recent murderer of a brother, but he's of course MIA. He doesn't want to be contacted. Jennifer quickly shows up wearing a very cute little dress. So she's going for an interview at the Haven Herald for a little newspaper job, which is very cute. Wade does show up at the Gull to see Duke, and he's looking for cleaning supplies. He could not be more obviously now a murderer, that he's not hiding it at all. Duke is like, I kept you out of jail by telling my cop friends that I would just get you out of here. So what are you doing? Wade pretends that he's really remorseful, and he says he'll be leaving Haven soon, so we don't have to worry about it. For some reason, Duke falls for it. I don't know why. He's smarter than this, but he's like, okay. He also sees a sleeping guy out the front of the Gull, and he's sleeping on a stack of newspapers. And this is important, and it will come up later. It's one of those things. This sleeping guy ends up in lockup at the Haven police station. Audrey is currently Lexiing it up at the station. Nathan has decided to be a little bit of a grump about it. Audrey asks him why he's such a Lexi hater, because it feels uncalled for. He has kind of a sweet answer.
She's not you.
Audrey reminds him that she's not going to kill him, so in front of the rest of the town, she's Lexi. He continues to be fairly salty about it though, and then they find that the sleeping guy in lockup that was asleep on the pile of papers has been attacked by something in the cell somehow, and now he's dead. He's been mauled. At the morgue, Lexi suggests that maybe it was a bear attack, and Nathan is still being a grouch. Gloria explains that the non-existent evidence means that he was attacked by an animal that doesn't really exist. inside of his cell. Audrey then starts to be a little bit too Audrey in front of Gloria and then has to backpedal.
I watch a lot of CSI Miami. It's pretty much my favorite show.
Nathan takes this opportunity to continue to be a little bit of an asshole and tells Audrey to work on her subtlety. So far, he's in a very bad mood this episode, and I'm not loving it. You should stop sulking though, Nathan, because things turn around for you this episode. There's some more foreshadowing. Elsewhere, Dwight tells Duke that the sleeping guy was killed in his sleep. Duke then says that the sleeping guy used to watch bear stuff on the TV at the Gull, and so it seems like maybe he could have been killed by a bear in his sleep. Because he would have been thinking about bears while he was asleep, maybe? Dwight then asks Duke if he's heard from Jordan, who is now considered a missing person, but as we know, she's just very dead. Jennifer quickly runs into a paper girl on her way to the Herald for her job interview. So there's a paper girl that delivers papers in Haven. Vince and Dave are scheming, as per usual. They've been digging into Jennifer's past, and we hear that she was adopted. So the two of them tell Jennifer that she has to do a background check on herself as a test to whether she can work at the Herald or not. But of course, there's ulterior motives and they just want to know more about her and her background. On Duke's boat, he's making dinner for Wade. He tries to do a little bit of brotherly bonding, but then he gives himself a paper cut and Wade goes really crazy about the blood, the troubled blood, and tries to kill Duke. Suddenly, Duke wakes up, but he is still injured from the Dream Wade attack. That's carried over into consciousness. He immediately calls Audrey and tells her what's up with the dream injury. Wade quickly kills a troubled girl from the guard. He's just kind of murdering people willy-nilly now. Also, his MO is apparently gut stabs, which is brutal. Next, cheers to what's about to happen. Audrey is walking through the station when she runs into Naked Nathan. Nathan is naked, so Naked Nathan appears to be in a panic about something, which doesn't appear to be the fact that he's naked. He seems panicked about something else. I'm panicked about the fact that he's naked. Audrey is very confused about Naked Nathan, as I was first seeing this at the age of 13. I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's just more than I thought sci-fi would show us. So Naked Nathan is panicked about being late for class. Then the station promptly turns into a classroom. Naked Nathan sits down to take a test. Audrey then shows up into the scene as a sexy teacher. So sexy teacher Audrey points to the quiz question on the chalkboard and she asks Nathan to answer it. I guess this is what he would dream about. He's got a lot of complex feelings. So Nathan is panicking now because he doesn't know how to answer the question. So then sexy teacher Audrey, who is not on the board, but maybe could have been, that would have been a really crazy thing for me to do. She smacks Nathan on the hand really hard because he can't answer the quiz question. Then something really crazy happens. Sexy teacher Audrey spanks Naked Nathan on the bare ass. That's what happens. Truly, that happens on this sci-fi show.
I don't know what to do with that.
It's a lot. It's so much. Surprise though, he wakes up and it was just a dream. A sex dream? Spank dream. It's just a silly, goofy sci-fi show. It's completely PG. I have to let it go. So Nathan is now awake from his dream and Audrey is knocking on his door. This is the first glimpse we ever see of the fact that Nathan has a house. He does own a home. It's season 4, just by the way, and we've never seen his home. Nathan then tells Audrey that he's gonna need a little minute before he can get up and meet her outside. Good Lord, that's a lot. We got through it. We got through that crazy scene. Cheers to us all. At the morgue, Audrey fills in Nathan about Duke's dream injury and how it carried over from dream into reality. She's made the connection between obviously sleeping guy and the bear and then his attack during his sleep. Nathan then decides to show Audrey his dream injury, the one on his hand. We can assume that this man has a sizable bruise on his behind. What is this show? We've got to move on. Audrey starts to ask Nathan more about his dream injury and he avoids it, understandably.
Were you dreaming?
Mm-hmm.
What about?
School.
I would not be sharing that information either. So there's another couple of bodies in the morgue that have also been killed by dream injuries. Then there's also the girl that Wade murdered recently. So the team figures out that this one is not a dream death because there's physical evidence involved. Back on Duke's boat, Wade is washing up his murder weapon in Duke's sink, which is a little bit rude of him. Find your own place to clean up your murder weapon. Duke is feeling fairly sus on him, possibly informed by the dream. Duke brings up Jordan, and Wade is very criminal in his response. It's very clear that he's been killing people. Duke notices the chipped knife and very quickly realizes that his brother is probably a murderer. Back at the Herald, Jennifer has done her background check on herself. The one thing she couldn't find out was who her birth parents are. She couldn't figure that out. Vince and Dave tell her that she's hired anyway though, and she's very, very excited about it. Duke is now bringing Nathan and Audrey coffee, so the three of them are trying to make a connection between all of the dream victims. Audrey, of course, realizes that all the victims were involved in reading the newspaper, the Haven Herald, recently, just prior to their dream attacks. Nathan and Duke instantly think that it's Vince and Dave's trouble, and they're sort of excited about it.
I mean, I knew it. I didn't know it, but I knew it.
Nathan quickly realizes and panics that he's left a newspaper on Dwight's desk. He's at the station and he's making quick work of realizing that Wade's a murderer. Dwight's really quick to figure that out. A floating gun shows up and shoots him. He is going to be fine though because he's Dwight. In his hospital room, Duke snoops for info on what Dwight has maybe found out about Wade so far. From this info, Duke then heads to a marina where Wade has rented a boat, and Duke tracks down where Wade last went fishing. No one is surprised when Duke finds a bunch of bodies anchored down in the water that Wade has killed. One of the bodies is Jordan, just by the way, in case you were curious. She's down there. So that's actually another serial killer. If you want to keep track of that, that's two. There was that one guy that we were chasing in Who, What, Where, Wendigo back in season 2, but we didn't see him kill anyone. So I don't know if you want to count him or not. Vince and Dave deny the sleeping trouble with the Haven Herald involved being their trouble. They say, no, that's not our trouble. Audrey slips up really quickly on the Lexi act again and has to backtrack again. Nathan is still hating on the Lexiing of it all. I like the word Lexiing. Lexiing. She's Lexiing. So the trouble ends up being the paper girl's trouble. Remember how we discovered that Haven has a paper girl? This is her trouble, the dream trouble. So paper girl says she already knows about her trouble, but she says that it's only what happens in her dreams that affects her. It doesn't go beyond that. It's just a her issue. Nathan proves her wrong by once again showing the currently visible injury that he has, and not the other one. So Paper Girl is now really confused. Obviously her trouble has never affected anyone outside of her own family. Paper Girl then informs us that members of her family have tried lucid dreaming in order to confront their fears in their dreams, which would stop their trouble. However, this method of confronting their fears in their lucid dreaming has actually killed a lot of them. When they've attempted to do this, it's kind of lethal.
Almost everyone who's tried it has died.
Paper Girl is willing to give it a go though, because now it's spread beyond her and her family, so she's like, people are dying, I should probably give that a red hot go. Paper Girl also mentions that she's been mugged recently, which I have to mention. That'll probably come up again. She also mentions that these muggers are going to be the fear that she has to face in her lucid dream in order to stop her trouble.
I got mugged by a couple of guys. In my dream, it'll be them.
Later and elsewhere, Duke confronts Wade about his murder habit. He's full crazy town. He's lost the plot. Duke tries to talk some sense into his brother. Duke then says that he doesn't know what he's going to do about the fact that his brother's a murderer. So then Wade threatens to tell the guard Audrey is Audrey and not Lexi, so that the guard will make Audrey kill Nathan. Because of the threat against Nathan, Duke backs down and says, okay, I'll let it slide. But then he does sneak attack Wade and knocks him out. So the muggers that Paper Girl mentioned, they are in fact the random guys from the bar. The bar barn. It's those guys that threatened to kill William. They're back and they mugged Paper Girl in Haven recently. This is very strange and weird information to digest. This is a big episode. So back with the B storyline, Vince and Dave discover that Agent Howard was the one that organized Jennifer's adoption, which is very random and kind of becomes relevant. I don't know that I fully understand it. So during Paper Girl's lucid dream, she defeats the random guys that were in the barn and solves her trouble. Nathan is asleep in the corner of the room. He is evidently having another spicy classroom dream, and this one seems to be going well. God, I love him. Crazy behavior. At Duke's boat, Jennifer arrives and Wade's waiting for her. So Wade attacks Jennifer and cuts her and then proceeds to suck some of her blood. This season's too much. Season 4? Calm down. So then he goes back in to fully slit her throat and murder Jennifer. But Duke runs in to save the day, of course. Thanks, Duke. Also, I'll mention that we get confirmation that Jennifer is troubled because their troubles get triggered by her troubled blood. Wade says he doesn't think he can control himself, which is a scary thing to say, and then he runs at Duke. So, in self-defense, essentially, Duke stabs and kills his brother, which therefore ends his own trouble. That's something that I understand you might need time to process, but unfortunately we just have to keep moving. Absolutely wild stuff going on for poor Duke. Lexi and Nathan are checking in on Paper Girl at the hospital after her dream attack. So Audrey then notices a really weird glowing handprint on Paper Girl's back. Neither Paper Girl or Nathan can actually see this glowing handprint though. Paper Girl then explains to us that when she got mugged by who we know is the random barn guys, she felt something really weird on her back before she passed out. Audrey then suggests that maybe this handprint is the reason that Paper Girl's trouble spread beyond her family and kind of evolved. Maybe this handprint is the reason why. Nathan's not super down for that theory because it's a bit scary, but Audrey gives us an interesting suggestion.
What if it's all changing?
Maybe it is all changing. Maybe it's all going to get really hard for me to explain. Maybe that's what's about to happen. Very upsetting for me. Back on Duke's boat, he's feeling a little bit kind of sad about killing his brother Wade. Jennifer tries to help him feel a little bit better about it. The two of them share a moment whilst kneeling over Duke's brother's corpse. Duke super confirms that his trouble is now definitely gone. Duke then tells Jennifer to keep this whole brother murder on the down low. Nathan and Audrey are now having a little bit of a domestic about how the troubles are changing and getting worse, and Nathan really wants Audrey to kill him in order to stop the troubles forever. Audrey then decides to ask Nathan if this is just a Lexi issue. This then leads to my favourite roast from Audrey pretty much of all time. It's so good and it's so warranted.
Because you didn't have a problem with Sarah. She's a part of me too. A part that apparently you're pretty familiar with.
The fight between Nathan and Audrey really starts to build and escalate a fair bit. It's really well done and the tension builds really organically. Audrey finally gets to release some of her fears.
At least you have the luxury of being one person.
Nathan then gets really worked up and turns it around and asks her about the two of them and what's going on with them.
Too much has happened, Nathan.
Nathan decides to storm out of the loft. He's very grumpy this episode, as I've discussed. So Nathan staunches out onto the balcony before he stops, turns around, and walks right back in, just like Audrey did before their first kiss. Nathan drops his grumpy exterior and gets really vulnerable with Audrey instead. Then he finally kisses her. Love to see it. So the kiss escalates pretty quickly. The exterior shot of the loft indicates that Nathan is about to add another incarnation of the same woman to his body count. Does that count as another person? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Of course it does. Audrey is now super and sexually official. They're sex-official. Sex-official? The lead up to this scene was absolutely perfect. All the passion and the heated tension in the preceding scene is brought to a perfect boiling point, and then it gets released in a really perfect and a really rewarding way for both of the characters. It's emotional, it's heated, and it's executed really well. Let's hope we get to see them be happy together for like a minute. Please? But unfortunately this is Haven, so let's just bite the bullet and get to episode 8. I have to mention that the barn guys, the random barn guys that mugged Paper Girl, they are currently creeping on the Audrey sex time from outside the loft in the woods. So they are definitely real and definitely in Haven now. So that's great. Episode 8 is titled Crush. Duke is currently burying his dead brother Wade, whose font is now black because that's another dead person on Duke's tree. At the Herald, Vince is still working on tracking down Jennifer's birth parents. That's something they're still interested in doing. Dave fills in Vince about the contagious trouble epidemic. At Audrey's loft, her and Nathan are now in full Naudry status. We love to see it. And they're making post-coital pancakes. Audrey then has a little bit of a Lexi moment and apologises to the previous Lexi hated Nathan, but he has changed his tune about Lexi for obvious reasons.
I've grown more fond of her.
It seems like Nathan's just down to get down with any of the Audreys. Vince then starts to walk up to the loft to ruin the moment. Nathan sneaks out of the loft so that Vince doesn't realise that Naudry is in full swing, and also that Audrey is Audrey and not Lexi. Nathan is really horrible at not being suspicious. Vince does tell him to keep working on falling in love with Lexi, and Lexi falling in love with him, because that'll mean that she can kill him. It's all about Nathan's death. Duke tells Jennifer that he's leaving town. He's heading out. He's a little bit traumatized, understandably. It's been a lot for him. So now Duke is shutting down the potentially really sweet relationship between him and Jennifer. Later, Duke is walking down the street when he sees a guy collapse and a bunch of stuff starts to implode and collapse inwards because Duke can't escape Haven. That's another foreshadow for you all, and it's a sad one. It's a sad foreshadow. A friend of Duke's that we've never seen or heard about before shows up, and then Duke explains to him that it was a pressure situation because the two of them were scuba divers together and they know a bit about pressure. Vince and Dave show up to the scene looking a little bit stranger than usual. Duke explains that they've got the bends, which is that thing that you get from deep sea diving and then coming up to the surface too quick. At the scene of the pressure stuff, Nathan, Gloria and Audrey discuss the pressure that appeared on dry land and killed people. Now Duke and his deep sea diver friend have put Vince and Dave in a decompression chamber. That's how they're going to fix Vince and Dave's case of the bends. They're going to bring them up slowly in pressure, like divers do. Jennifer is now moving off of Duke's boat and she sees a really strange horseshoe crab, which I'm not sure is a real animal. I don't think I want to look it up, to be honest. Duke does not see the horseshoe crab, but he does apologise to Jennifer for being a bit of a blunt asshole earlier. Jennifer points out to Duke that he's kind of a hero in Haven. He's a Haven hero. Duke says that he's done being a hero. He's had enough of it.
Nathan and Lexi be heroes and let me be me.
Jennifer asks Duke to stay in town and we get a prime example of poor communication skills. Vince and Dave now appear to have improved since their decompression. Jennifer points out that Duke's friend Jack is kind of the prime suspect for having this pressure trouble because of the fact that he's a deep sea diver. Vince then gives us a little bit of Haven history context.
No Driscoll's ever had a trouble, going all the way back to the founding of Haven.
And Duke chimes in too.
It's like saying that a man is pregnant.
We get some exposition about Jack having a brother who has a pregnant wife. Naudry show up to the scene. They ask Duke for any advice and he kind of roasts the two of them.
All I do is put my ass on the line for the two of you.
Nathan returns to sad boy mode because it's still unfortunately sad boy season. Audrey shuts that shit down though because she's trying to live her best life. Naudry tells Jack that he was at the centre of the pressure situation because all signs lead to Jack being troubled, but he can't be troubled. So that's a bit of an issue. So they tell him that there's really no other explanation for what's going on and he starts to freak out a little bit. Then Audrey, Vince and Dave start clutching at their ears because the pressure in the air is getting really high. Jack then tells Nathan to seal him into the decompression chamber because Nathan can tolerate it for long enough to do so. Once Nathan seals Jack in, it works and the pressure starts decreasing outside of the pressure chamber and it starts increasing inside of the pressure chamber. Vince quickly explains to Audrey / who he thinks is still Lexi about why she's affected by the pressure.
Immune to the troubles, but physical phenomena can still hurt you.
Once again, I always appreciate these explanations because I really hate a plot hole, so thanks Haven. Jack explains again that his uncle was the Rev. Remember the Rev? Audrey shot and killed him and it was one of her most iconic moments. So there's definitely no troubles in his family, so we don't know how he's kind of gained this pressure trouble. Audrey then reminds us that Paper Girl from the previous episode was attacked before her trouble changed, and Jack says that he was also attacked too. So it seems like maybe attacks from the random barn guys are causing troubles to appear and or be altered in some way. Audrey now wants to check Jack for the weird handprint. Jack does have the weird handprint, so we can pretty much assume that random barn guys attacked him, gave him the weird handprint, and now he has a pressure trouble. So Jack explains that he stopped the pressure from happening last time by using a deep dive breathing. It's a scuba breathing technique. So that is something that works for this trouble. Jack is really upset about the fact that he's troubled because he's a Driscoll and that's not supposed to be a thing. Jack then says that he's really glad that his brother's not troubled because his brother is going to have a baby and then the trouble would be passed down to the baby. So of course we cut to his brother now, who is in town explaining to a cop that he was attacked the night before, and then his pressure trouble starts to activate. So Naudry and Jack roll up to see Jack's brother to tell him what's going on. The three of them can't tell him how to control his trouble though, because the pressure starts to get too high and they all start to die. Jack explains that there's some sort of diving suit that they could wear in order to get close to his brother and the really high pressure, in order to explain the breathing technique and how he can calm down his trouble and bring the pressure back to normal. These diving suits are not easy to come by, sort of a made to order situation. Elsewhere, Jennifer sees another horseshoe crab. Jack's brother in his pressure trouble is now getting so bad that he's kind of blowing stuff up. Things are exploding. So Jack now suggests that Duke should kill him in order to stop the trouble, so that Jack's brother's trouble would stop, the town would stop being destroyed. So Jack is volunteering to have himself be murdered by Duke and Duke's trouble killing trouble in order to stop his brother's trouble. Naudry aren't all that excited about having Duke kill his friend in order to solve the trouble, and neither are we, because we know that Duke's trouble is no more because he killed Wade and killed his own trouble. I do love a bit of dramatic irony though. This is good stuff. Duke is now at Wade's grave. He's also dodging everyone's calls. He doesn't want to talk right now. He's overall in a very sad, bad place emotionally.
In Haven, you always lose, so why even bother trying?
So Duke's friend is now asking Duke to murder him right after Duke accidentally murdered his brother. It's quite a sensitive situation. So when Duke shows up to kind of discuss this whole situation, Nathan gets roasted by Duke about being selfish with Audrey. Duke then hits Nathan. So now we all see that Nathan's very much troubled blood does not soak into Duke's skin. It does not give him silver eyes or superhuman strength.
Your trouble's gone.
His trouble is very much not a thing anymore. After this being outed, Duke dips. Audrey now reminds us that the pressure is growing from Jack's brother's trouble, and it's really not looking good for Haven. Nathan decides to remind her that she could kill him and end the troubles for good. Guess who's back on his sacrificial death train? It's this guy. Before anyone can kill anyone though, Duke shows up to once again save some people, despite saying that he was kind of done with that. So he's brought those deep sea diving suits that were difficult to find. Duke's found them within minutes, it seems. So our trio put on the suits and it looks very funny, and the little waddle walk that they have to do is my favourite. So the three of them waddle into town towards Jack's brother in order to talk him down from using his pressure to kill a bunch of people in town. Unsurprisingly, Nathan's line of air starts to leak, so he starts to suffocate and die. Duke tells Audrey to keep pushing on towards Jack's brother to help him calm his trouble down, and Duke's going to get Nathan back to normal pressure so that he doesn't suffocate and die. Audrey gets to Jack's brother, tells him how to control his trouble, and Duke gets Nathan out of the pressure so that he can breathe again. Nathan and Duke have a really quick heart-to-heart, which I love.
You're the least selfish person I know.
The bromance is back. Duke shows back up to Jennifer on his boat, and he's finally come to his senses, and he just kisses her. They continue their hookup, and so things are official now, so Jennifer's going on the tree. Here's Jennifer. She's official now. Duke's tree is looking very full. This has made me realise that there's a lot of J names in this show. Jess, Julia, James, Jean, Jennifer, Jordan. Is that all? Feels like a lot. Regardless, these two are just very cute, and I'm happy that they're tree official. At Audrey's loft, Naudry have officially run out of their happiness. It's all gone. They didn't even get a full episode. I don't think they ever do get one entire episode of being happy. The show does do a pretty good job of showing us a really intense moral dilemma and giving it some real weight across multiple episodes. This is something that's carried through for 8 episodes now. They've let this question of what Nathan should be feeling, what we should be doing, and they do make it very, very sad, which I've learnt they're kind of good at.
Make everything better. One bullet.
Nathan now hands Audrey his gun once again. Nathan reminds Audrey about how she has always said that she's destined to help troubled people.
What better way than to cure them all forever?
Back in happier environments, Duke and Jennifer are hanging out and being very wholesome, just kind of overall. Jennifer shows Duke a bunch of stuff that her birth parents left behind. We get a really quick shot of the random book that we saw in the pilot episode that Audrey gave to Howard. Also, the book reappeared when Broadry was in town. That book's back. Surprise. It's something strange and odd that we don't have an answer for yet. Vince and Dave run into the scene. Everyone just finds their way onto Duke's boat. There's no privacy. Vince and Dave have been reading a journal from an explorer that came to Haven a really, really long time ago. So it's been a strange town for like centuries. They found a journal from a guy who was writing about how strange of a town it was. I'm sorry for what's going on. I apologize. So this journal also talks about how there was an otherworldly door that once it was opened, it brings evil to Haven.
Great evil. When someone opened an otherworldly door.
So these writings from this explorer explain why Dave was freaking out when we were opening up doors to the barn to get Audrey out.
The door that Lexi came through. You tried to stop us.
Vince and Dave are feeling pretty good about the whole situation though, because apparently when this evil comes through the door, it brings evil omens with it. And they haven't seen these omens, so they think that there's no evil afoot.
Evil has specific harbingers we haven't seen.
They're like, we're fine, there's no omens. But then they start to list off the omens and what they are.
Horseshoe crabs.
Jennifer breaks the scary news about the horseshoe crabs.
I've seen them.
Horseshoe crabs are now a significant part of the plot because they're an omen that happens when evil comes to Haven through an otherworldly door. Hope you're okay. So once Jennifer breaks that news, we return to the sad times at Audrey's loft. Nathan is still trying to get Audrey to kill him and stop all of the constant death from all of the troubles that haven't gone away since he destroyed the barn. He says some really, really heartbreaking stuff.
This is the most loving thing we could possibly do.
Just kind of to hurt me. Audrey starts to actually consider killing Nathan, and now I'm officially distraught. Vince, Dave, Jennifer, and Duke rock up at Audrey's loft to fill in Nathan and Audrey on the evil that's coming to Haven through the otherworldly door. They figure they should let them know that they found that in the explorer's writing, and that because of the horseshoe crabs, evil is definitely coming to Haven. On their way up to the loft, the four of them are discussing the impending evil and kind of what else the journal says.
What was once your salvation is now your doom.
So what was once their salvation, they decipher, was Audrey killing Nathan and curing the troubles forever. That's what was once their salvation. So now Duke points out that if Audrey kills Nathan, it will actually be the town's doom because we've reversed the trouble cure. So Duke's like, we should definitely not make Audrey kill Nathan because it'll be the end of Haven. Apparently. Vince really quickly clocks the fact that Duke just called Lexi Audrey, so he's like, wait a minute, is that not Lexi? Once again, before we can deal with that though, we hear a gunshot from Audrey's loft, so someone has in fact fired a weapon. And last time we saw Audrey very much had a gun to Nathan's chest. And that's the end of this stressful ass episode. I had to wait a week before I saw the next episode. Not fun. It's the next day. For me. That's why I look different than I did a couple seconds ago. Let's keep moving. Episode 9 is titled William, so I'm sure you can guess who's back, baby. Now this is really where we go off the deep end into the science fiction of it all. So if you were thinking that that had already happened, no, I'm sorry. So we open back up at the loft immediately and see that Audrey has not shot Nathan, but she's shot at random guy from the barn. Nathan's alive, but random barn guys are here, kind of creeping. So positive and negatives about what's going on, but overall I'm just glad that he's alive, obviously. So Audrey's in a little bit of a panic about this, about barn guys being here in her loft, and also how are they here in Haven, period. They we're barn people, so we're all confused. Audrey chases after the barn guy, and Duke, Vince, and Dave run in to see what the gunfire was. Vince grabs Nathan and demands answers about Audrey being Audrey and not being Lexi. Nathan tells Vince to chill out because she was just about to kill him and sort everything out, so calm down, it's all good. Everything's gonna get sorted, I will die. But then Vince is like, no, actually, because now that's bad. That's swapped around now, and now we can't do that. He doesn't actually elaborate on the impending evil yet, though. He just says, no, she can't kill you. Elsewhere in Haven with Dwight, we see that the other barn guy sneaks up on him and knocks him out. Feels a bit unrealistic because he's Dwight, but whatever, I guess he's been knocked out. Back at the loft, everyone has gathered around now, and Audrey confirms that it was definitely a guy from the barn that was in her apartment. So they're real people and they're in Haven. Audrey's very confused, along with everyone else. We're all kind of getting overwhelmed. Dave now points out that opening the portal to the barn to let Audrey through also let barn guys through, and now they're altering troubles and kind of just spreading troubles around throughout Haven. So because they let them through the otherworldly barn door, now they're doing crazy stuff. So Nathan just says, okay, well, if this is an issue, let's just have Audrey kill me, because that's what the plan was. But then Vince explains that that is a really, really bad idea now.
Audrey killing you now will only bring destruction to Haven.
I'm thrilled about it. Surprise, surprise. Love him. He doesn't have to die anymore. So Nordry are both shocked and relieved by this news. And Vince says that he's very grateful to Audrey for her Lexiing. There would be evil if he hadn't have Lexied. So thank you, Audrey, saving the town once again. Back with Dwight, the barn guys have now got him in a shed. The barn guys are asking Dwight about a box that they want to find. They think that Dwight can tell them where the box is. There's a lot of box talk this episode. So Dwight says, no thanks, I'm not going to help you find this box. And then they threaten to give him a second trouble. They can just do that. Apparently they can just give out troubles, even to people that have troubles. Barn guys, good people. Dwight's had enough of this, so he breaks away really quick and calls Nathan. He does still get pulled back by them though, because guns are a little bit of an issue for him. That's kind of his one weakness. But the call to Nathan is still going, so Nathan can hear Dwight talking, and Dwight leaves some clues about where he is, where this shed is, and then Duke deciphers the clues, and so now we're on our way to go save Dwight. Nathan comes bursting into the shed, and it's fantastic. Love your work. Love you. Audrey asks the barn guys what they're doing, but they're not really big talkers. Nordry also have rubber bullets in their guns, in case you were wondering, because our bullet magnet is currently in the room. We can assume that rubber bullets would not be magnetized to him, it's just the metal ones, I suppose. So then they all hear a noise coming from a separate room. They go in to investigate, and it's William. William's here in Haven now. So the crew bring William to the station, and Audrey explains that Nathan is the one he was telling her about in the barn. So cute. William, however, doesn't remember this, and he appears to have amnesia, which is contagious in this town. Everybody's got just a touch of amnesia. Audrey thinks that the barn has erased his memory, like it likes to do. Historically, it likes to erase memories. That's kind of one of its favourite things to do. Audrey says she's going to help William figure out what's going on because he helped her in the barn, and she wants to kind of serve back some good karma. Duke quickly agrees with my sentiment about how easily the barn guy took Dwight out.
Little guy got the jump on you?
Thanks for backing me up. Dwight starts questioning the small barn guy, who once again doesn't say anything, which is super helpful. We do get a weird sound cue in the scene, and Dwight's face reacts to something, so something has gone awry. The small barn guy talks to Dwight about how he should be focused on finding the murderer in town. So when he does finally speak up, it's to kind of feed paranoia to Dwight. So it's a weird vibe. It's going to come back around and be very chaotic. William and Audrey are having a little bit of a chat, and she says that she thinks William was supposed to be Howard's replacement.
The barn had a keeper, and I think that you were supposed to replace him.
She thinks that William was supposed to be the new Howard, because obviously Nathan shot our Howard to shit. She thinks maybe William was his replacement. The two of them bond over memory loss, and they have a connection moment. Dwight is now spiraling into paranoia, and he has a hallucination of Duke with the murder weapon, the murder knife that Wade used. So Dwight's not doing well. Duke suggests that Jennifer should talk to the barn guy because of her connection to the barn, which feels like a weird thing for Duke to do, but that's what he does. They are full couple status now, by the way. Jennifer, Duke, it's Duke and Jennifer. They're together. So the big barn guy grabs at Jennifer, which could have been predictable. Don't know why Duke thought this was a good idea. The big barn guy then tells Jennifer some weird stuff. And so Jennifer now is having hallucinations of Duke being very strange. So there's lots of Duke hallucinations. Nathan is now talking to small barn guy, and he's a bit cranky. So then the small barn guy opens his mouth, and a small little strange floating black ball flies out of his mouth, and then it flies into Nathan's ear, this small floating black goo ball. This show. So now the small barn guy suggests to Nathan that Audrey and William are becoming a thing. So that causes Nathan to get really weird, and he's convinced that that's what's happening right away. He's like, yep, they're together. They're screwing. It's happening. The black goo is causing hallucinations and paranoia. That's what you need to know, and it's causing tension. Jennifer is continuing to hallucinate Duke being very mean. Now she's also paranoid that Duke is into Audrey more than her, and she starts to question Duke's motives. Duke's very confused. There's so much confusion. The rest of the series, there's confusion, to be honest. So Jennifer is now fully on the train that Duke doesn't care about her and wants Audrey instead. And no, she doesn't know about the Colorado incident. This is just what her paranoia has led her to believe. William and Audrey are now discussing what could be in the box that the barn guys are after, because the box is still a thing that they're looking for. What could be in barn guys' box? Nathan now hallucinates the two of them hooking up very passionately in the police station. He gets very cranky about it. He's not thrilled to see that. Audrey tells him to chill out, and then Nathan makes a very uncalled for comment.
How long before you sleep with him?
Audrey slaps him in the face in response. Very justified. Absolutely out of pocket. What is with that? Also, if we're going to get for real about this, Nathan's kind of got more of a history of slutty behaviour on this show. Call him like I see him. Sorry, bud. Still love ya. Let's just think about the Sarah incident on the beach just for a second. Let's remember that. Audrey asks Nathan what's wrong with him, and he doubles down. Audrey points out that this is not like Nathan at all. Audrey tells William to tag along with her as she investigates about the box and stuff. The two of them head to the morgue, and Gloria says that a bunch of people in town have been kind of killing each other, and their bodies have the weird goo ball inside of their brain after her doing the autopsy. She's got a really quick turnaround for autopsies, I've just realised. You've got to keep up in this town, to be fair. There's lots of death. So yeah, this weird goo is making people act strange, and it's currently inside of Jennifer, Dwight, and Nathan. They've got the goo inside of them. On Duke's boat, he finds a still very much paranoid Dwight hanging out there, and he has found the murder weapon that Wade used, of course, to kill that guard girl. So it's not really looking great for Duke. Don't know why he has not disposed of that murder weapon. He's kept that around. He is still dealing with the whole killing his own brother thing though. So Dwight now threatens to kill Duke if he doesn't admit to being the murderer. He tells Dwight that he'll explain the situation. He's like, I'm gonna fill you in on what's transpired. It's been a weird couple episodes for me. William and Audrey are continuing to vibe it out. They're connecting. Things are going well for them. Duke has now brought Dwight to Wade's grave to show him that. Briefly explains what happened with Wade and the killing of him. So now Dwight's delusions hit a bit of a remix. So he wants Duke to dig up Wade, him to dig up his dead brother. Duke says no, because that's a fairly unreasonable thing to ask someone to do. This then causes Dwight to tase Duke and bring him to the station. The first tase of the episode. There's more to come. Nathan and Jennifer are at the station, and they're being delusional together. A kind of duo Delulu moment. These two are just not doing great, kind of overall. They've got the black goo in them, so they've seen better days. Nathan then says that he's going to kill William out of his jealousy, hallucination, delusion stuff, and Jennifer gets happy about this because that means that he'll have Audrey, and so Duke won't be able to have Audrey, so Duke will be with Jennifer. All the delusions are kind of around men being with Audrey for some reason. Elsewhere, William and Audrey get electric. For real, a zap happens. After the zap, William gets some of his memories back from the barn. So the zap has caused a memory to re-emerge. William explains that when he first landed in Haven, he had the box, but then he didn't have the box. So the box is going to be where he landed. Dwight has cuffed Duke to a table. Nathan rocks up, and just so does everyone else. Everyone's here now. The whole gang is here, including Jennifer, who takes the time to also add to the slut-shaming of Audrey this episode.
Don't you get tired? 3 men? How do you find time to fight the troubles?
What?
Come on, guys. What is with that? She's not even... I'm confused. Nathan gets his gun out to kill William, and Dwight's like, no, don't do that. And then he points his taser at Nathan, and it's just a whole mess. Audrey has the station evacuated, and surprise, it's another gas leak.
Gas leak!
Yes!
So Dwight tases Nathan, Duke gets uncuffed, and then the situation de-escalates from there. It's all very fun. William and Audrey are going to head out now to go find the box, where he landed when he came through the barn. He landed somewhere, and he thinks the box is there, so that's where him and Audrey are going. Duke is now babysitting everyone at the station. Everyone that's kind of got the goo in their heads, he's looking after them. William and Audrey are now at the Haven lookout, where William supposedly landed, and William starts to be really weird with Audrey now. William finds the box, and then he gets even weirder. Audrey tells him that she thinks that he's been infected by the black goo, and he throws us a bit of a curveball.
This isn't actually about some stupid trouble. This is about us.
Colin does a really good job of pulling out the rug and just showing us the real William out of nowhere. So William says he knows what the literal spark was between the two of them. He's across that. He tells Audrey that he thought that she was gone when Audrey came out of the barn, but now he thinks that she is still in there. We may or may not have another past life coming. That's a possibility. Nothing is ever simple for our girl. She doesn't get a simple plot line ever. William then talks about being with a version of Audrey in the past in Haven. Definitely a past self of Audrey's, we just need more info. And it is coming. Don't be scared, but it is scary. William starts to give us some more context about being with this past version of Audrey in Haven.
We used to have such fun up here. You don't remember that?
Audrey tries to ignore the alarming statements and just asks him what's in the box. We've all been wondering that. William tells her that it's a gift and she should open it. Audrey finally asks him what's up with all the manipulation, his whole act, what's going on. He just tells her to open the box again. So she does open the box, and it's a really cool looking flower. It's a very sci-fi flower. Big fan. Then it turns into a pile of the black goo balls. Then the barn guys show up, and William says that they work for him. These barn people are on William's payroll. William, my guy, you are just full of surprises. Checking back in at the station, Duke is still trying to parent the delusional gang. He's been stuck with that task. The black goo balls do fly out of all of them now, and they return to normal. Nathan says he's got to go find Audrey to see what's up on the hill with the box and stuff. Dwight takes the time to tell Duke that he's not going to arrest him for killing his brother Wade. Duke's been through a lot, so he appreciates that. Dwight then talks about Duke's trouble being gone and how he feels about that.
It existed for a reason, to keep the troubles in check.
Then he asks Duke if he's happy that his trouble is gone. Surprised, Duke has a sad answer.
I still don't feel free.
Poor Duke. All of this stuff pays off for his character later on, and so it makes me sad to think about. We're not there yet. Back at the lookout, William is roasting Audrey's friends. Then he picks up one of the black goo balls and squishes it into his hand. Audrey makes the connection with the handprint stuff and the black goo. So the magical handprints that changed and gave troubles are from the black goo. The black goo is trouble stuff. Trouble goo. It's Trouble Goo. Let's call it that for now. It gets a lot of names, but let's start with Trouble Goo. So William says that he is going to keep putting the handprint, the Trouble Goo handprint, on people because he wants her back. Audrey's not down. She's not keen about William and his energy. William's pretty determined to get her back though.
There's someone else. The real you.
So he zaps Audrey unconscious. He's doing a lot of zapping. William is just a wild dude. We're going to see some more of him, and it's good stuff. Nathan then finds Audrey at the lookout and asks her what's happened. She's a little bit too traumatized to answer that right now. And that's William. That's the episode called William. That's not the end of William though. Right, so there's been some tree updates. And yes, I've been updating Audrey's pic based on her kind of most recent look. She changes up her look a lot, and I'm having fun with it. Also, this possible past life thing, it's a question mark for now. It'll be more than that later, unfortunately. Episode 10 is The Trouble with the Troubles, and it's a cute and fun little title for a cute and fun little episode. We open at the aftermath of a volcano eruption in town. There's been a volcano. The Troubles have really just upped it. Everyone is looking really sexy and smoky though in this scene, so that's fun. Later, Audrey are back at Audrey's loft, getting very cozy. Audrey has taken her Lexi extensions out and her nose ring. R.I.P. Audrey's nose ring. Nathan is very wholesome about it.
It's nice to see Audrey again.
The two of them discuss William and how he's kind of a scary dude a little bit, and then Nathan has enough of that conversation and he he promptly switches up the vibe. Love it when these two get to be happy. Good for them. However, as usual, it's short-lived because Audrey wakes up on the floor and her loft is now looking a bit like an abandoned attic. All of her stuff is gone, her Nathan is gone. It's a rough morning after. Also, the whole of Haven has changed overnight. A cop car pulls up to her and Cop Duke walks out and approaches her. Duke's a cop. Cop Duke is absolutely serving looks. I'm beyond obsessed with Cop Duke. The ponytail? Cop Duke is a lot for me. It's doing things. Audrey asks Cop Duke about Nathan, and Duke says that there's no Nathan Warnos at Haven PD. Duke's a cop, Nathan's not. Audrey starts to kind of break down the situation and shares my sentiments for Duke's new look.
You look good as a cop, but you're still a cop.
We're all big fans. So in this wacky Haven, the Crockers have not been killing troubled people, they've just been officers of the law. So that's a bit different. Cop Duke tells Audrey to get into the car and he's going to take her into Haven. Cop Duke then tells her that he'll help her sort out whatever her issue is, but only if she gets a psych evaluation. First, though, Cop Duke has to get a witness statement. There's been vandalism in town, and Cop Duke is taking it very seriously.
This town's going to hell.
Clearly, this wacky version of Haven doesn't have the same crime rate as the Haven that we know. Audrey runs into a classy-looking Vince and Dave. They also don't know who she is. No one knows who she is. Audrey tells them that she knows about the troubles, and then Vince drops this line.
This is Haven. There's never been any trouble here.
To accompany that, Audrey sees a town sign and the town's slogan, safest town in Maine. So yes, now she says out loud what's going on.
The troubles are gone.
At the hospital, Duke says that he hasn't been able to track down Nathan. There's no one named Nathan Warnos in this wacky Haven. Audrey is not concerned about that though, because of soulmate stuff. Basically.
You know, I'll find him. Always do.
Cop Duke is very nice and he gives her his number. They still have their chemistry, even in Wacky Haven. Audrey now gets pulled into a doctor's office for her psych evaluation. And guess who the doctor is? Just by my level of excitement, who do you think it could be? Yes, Duke's a cop and Nathan's a doctor. I love Wacky Haven. Big fan of it. He's also called Nathan Hansen in this version of Haven, which I guess means that Max Hansen never did all of the murder and stuff, and he didn't have his trouble ever, so the chief didn't need to adopt Nathan. Audrey's happy to see him. Nathan asks Audrey if they've ever met before.
Technically, yes. Actually, not really, so no.
It's complicated for Audrey. In any version of Haven, it's complicated. Dr. Nathan tells Audrey that she's not concussed or, suffering from any other kind of psychological issue. Audrey then introduces herself a little more Audrey style, and it's very good stuff.
You can just call me Parker.
Hey, Parker.
Audrey are just on their beautiful bullshit. Audrey tries to ask out Dr. Nathan, but he gets called away to do doctor stuff. Then William shows up to ruin the fun. He also knows that shit is crazy and that we're in a wacky Haven. So William says that he didn't do this to Haven. He tells us that he's also immune to the troubles.
Just like you.
That's kind of a lot to process. We don't have time to accept that William's immune to the troubles. Let's move on. So William wants Haven to go back to normal Haven so that Audrey can remember who she was when she was with him. He wants her to be her again, whoever she is. Audrey quickly sees Dr. Nathan meet up with his family. He has a wife and child. Audrey is sad, but also very happy for him because he's happy, so she's happy. William then tells her that deep down she likes the troubles. She denies this, and then William tells her that he's going to get them back to the real Haven. He's had enough of this one. So now William shows up to the Herald and wants Vince and Dave to help him find someone, unspecified someone. He's very threatening and very weird, and he's just William. Audrey meets up again with Cop Duke and warns him about William. Audrey tries to get him to focus back on William and how he's probably going to do some crazy shit to try and get Haven back to normal Haven. Duke gets a call and Haven now officially has its first murder in decades. What a Haven to be in. Duke tells Audrey to come along with him to the crime scene because clearly she knows something about how weird things are. So, William has murdered Vince and Dave. He's killed both of them. I'm sorry. I am fairly entertained by him and his antics. William has also planted one of Audrey's hairs that he plucked out of her head in an earlier scene. William's just a lot of fun. He's a fun guy. So now Duke thinks that she's killed them. Duke questions her at the station and she gets very honest about what's happening.
And he's killing people to find the troubled person who can change this back.
Cop Duke does not buy it. He's not accustomed to what we are. Audrey tells Cop Duke about the Duke that we know in our real haven.
You do what you want. You live on a boat, for God's sake.
A boat.
This seems to make him come around to the idea a little bit, but then he gets a call about another murder. I wonder who could be responsible for that. Duke rolls up to the scene of this second murder. Dr. Nathan is here, so he has to stand in as medical examiner. This wacky haven doesn't have all of the death and stuff, so they don't actually have an ME, I guess, because there's just not enough murder to warrant it. So Dr. Nathan has to fill in. Dr. Nathan is giving Gloria. Dr. Nathan and Cop Duke, absolutely fantastic. So instead of the two of them having a complicated relationship from way back in school, this time they kind of merely crossed paths.
You stole my Han Solo lunchbox, and I would like to file a formal report. I'm just kidding. I like to joke.
I'm obsessed with troubleless Nathan. Duke doesn't love chatty Nathan, but I do. Duke asks Nathan about signing off Audrey earlier at the hospital.
Doctor-patient confidentiality.
I love him. Nathan does finally explain that Audrey did in fact seem sane.
She seemed to have a thing for doctors, but she checked out fine.
At the station, Stan brings William in to see Audrey because William is posing as Audrey's lawyer. And William thinks that the whole situation is hilarious.
You're gonna look back on this and laugh.
I don't think he's entirely wrong. Am I a William apologist? Oh no. Audrey doesn't think it's funny at all. She's not got a great sense of humour about it. William just continues to be chaotic.
Ugh, my bad.
So William is having a hard time tracking down the person who's responsible for giving us Wacky Haven. So he tells Audrey that she has to track them down. And if she can't track down this troubled person and get us back to normal Haven, William's going to keep killing people, which appears to be a hobby of his. Nathan then gets a weird call from his wife before telling Duke that they make a great team. Dynamic duo. So Audrey shows up to Nathan Hansen's house, but he's distraught currently because his family has gone missing. Then he gets a call from William, who has taken his family hostage. He's taken the Hansens. Nathan's got it rough in every universe. Every single one. He's just trying to be a doctor. So now William gives Audrey his ultimatum. So she's got to find troubled person, get them back to normal haven, or William's going to kill Nathan Hansen's wife and daughter. Nathan asks Audrey what's going on and why his family have been abducted. Audrey tells him that they've got to track someone down. They've got to find someone and then they can save his family. He gets a bit upset, understandably, and then he says this.
And there was no crime in Haven until you came.
This prompts Audrey to make a comment about the vandalism from earlier, but this vandalism is actually news to Nathan.
Vandalism? What?
Audrey now has a theory, and so she brings Nathan into town and says they've got to find someone. This someone is Cliff, and he's our troubled guy that's given us wacky, troubleless haven. So his wife died in the volcano incident from the very opening of the episode, where everyone was looking very hot. So then Cliff wished for the troubles to go away because his wife was just killed by a volcano trouble, and then we ended up in wacky, weird haven. So Nathan wants to hand Cliff over to William to get his family back. He'd like to just get that moving. Audrey doesn't want to do that because knowing William, he'll probably kill Cliff. Audrey says, calm down, Dr. Nathan, we'll sort this out. Duke then shows up and wants to talk to Audrey and get some answers from her. They continue to butt heads and it's quite good. Nathan and Cliff now head off without Audrey. They've headed off to go find William. So Duke is finally on board with Audrey now and realizes that William is definitely the killer. Quite a sweet moment. I like character moments like this.
You were right about the boat. I always did want one.
Duke is consistent. He's our pirate man. So Nathan has now handed Cliff over to William to save his family. Cliff does get it though. He's like, yeah, that's alright, mate.
It's okay, I would have done the same thing if it was my wife.
What a champ. So Cliff explains to William that he's not going to wish for Haven to go back to normal, because if Haven goes back to normal, then his wife is dead again from the volcano. William isn't pleased. Dr. Nathan has actually decided to head back to Cliff and William because he feels bad. He's a helper.
I need to help him.
Bless him. Duke and Audrey show up also to try and save Cliff. William is waiting for them though. Always ready. That guy. Duke tries to reason with William and William shoots Duke. Zero hesitation. from William. William tells Audrey that she's not in Haven to fix the troubles. Oh, this is very crazy. Okay, what I'm about to say is very much a lot, so just prepare. William tells Audrey that she's not an entity that comes to Haven to help with the troubles, and that instead, she made the troubles.
You made the troubles.
William tells her that that's who she is. We've all been wondering this whole time who the original Audrey is. That woman created the troubles. Audrey's original self before all the other reincarnations. How's that info going down? Is it going down well? William's just dropping plot bombs all around. That's his job. This is the biggest of them though. Audrey's original self is the troublemaker. She's a troublemaker. And she truly is. I'm excited for stuff to happen. Anyway, so William now tells Audrey explicitly that the reincarnation, dying in the barn, 27 years trapped, coming back as someone new thing, that's a punishment cycle for creating the troubles. That's the trouble creation punishment.
You're being punished.
Audrey then reminds us about the fact that Howard actually foreshadowed this in the season 3 finale.
Am I being punished?
It does seem that way.
It is once again an example of some good ass foreshadowing.
Thank you, Howard, for that line. It's paid off. William says that he knows that this for sure happened because he and original Audrey created the troubles together.
Because we did it together.
It was a team effort. My God, this is a lot. I don't actually remember how I felt discovering this for the first time. It just feels like I've always known. Maybe it's a trauma response to just block out how it felt to discover this, because we've got to keep moving along. It's the only way to survive. If we don't swim, we'll sink. Nathan shows up behind William to try and save the day. Duke, who is currently on the floor bleeding out and dying, directs Nathan towards his gun. Nathan points the gun at William and tries to get him to back down, but Dr. Nathan is very nervous about handling a firearm. So William is not intimidated by scared Nathan, so he just shoots Cliff in the head. He just shoots him. It's typical William behavior, and this does in fact bring them back to normal Haven, and Audrey wakes up back in bed with Nathan. This whole episode is actually a little bit reminiscent of Audrey Parker's Day Off, which I'm a big fan of. Nathan's a bit confused about waking up morning after in this way, so now Audrey makes a bit of a drastic statement about what they should do with William.
We need to kill him.
Audrey fills in Duke about William killing him and him being a cop as well. She tells him that he was Cop Duke. Notably, Audrey does not tell Nathan that William said that her original self and he created the troubles. She doesn't disclose that. Now, I'm afraid I can't go on without mentioning the product placement that we're treated to. I don't know specifics, but it's clearly for this car and its built-in GPS, which in 2013 was a big thing, I guess. If they think that having Nathan Warnos lean up against a car is going to work, they'd be right. They would be correct. I'll have it. So this product placement is also very obvious because this is like the only time that they're not in Nathan's Bronco. They're in this GPS car, having a whole scene in it. Very funny, and it's very overt, and I couldn't not mention it.
Chuck it.
So our trio now track William down. So William starts to drop some little hints about the whole we made the troubles thing. He's starting to try and reveal the truth to Nathan and Duke, who Audrey notably did not tell. Our boy Nathan is no longer a doctor, no longer scared of guns, and he's had enough of William's bullshit. So, surprise, he shoots him. Nathan shoots William, which was a little bit unnecessary. So, after William is shot, Audrey falls back too, as though she's been injured, because yes, she's also been shot. Sort of. There's no bullet involved, but she has suffered the same injury that William has, minus the bullet. So Duke then goes over to William to try and stop the bleeding because they don't know if he bleeds out, is she going to bleed out? It's all very awkward and unfortunate. That was a lot. Episode 11 is shot in the dark. We open with some ghost investigation style handheld camera footage. There's two guys that call themselves the Dark Side Seekers, and they're in Haven to capture the paranormal on film. There's a little bit of that in town, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Also, these guys are very fun. So they're talking talk briefly about the fact that there's a victim in town who's missing their heart. So they talk about how they know that some supernatural stuff has been going on in Haven, and they mention that Haven PD brushed things off with various excuses.
How many gas leaks does a small fishing village need to have?
So now they head into a house that's had its front door ripped off, and there's some scary sounds coming from the house. One of their ghost hunter devices starts beeping like a lot, then a scary dark shape starts to attack them and they run out of the house. What a vibe switch. Love it. At the crime scene the next day, Gloria and Dwight talk about the victim's heart being eaten out of her chest. So that's for real a thing that's going on. Our ghost hunters are listening to the chat and they get caught eavesdropping. So the dark side seekers say that they think the creature that's killing people is something called a rougarou.
Oh, I don't think that's how you say that.
So they point out that Haven as a town is very secretive, and then Dwight rocks up and tells them to stop filming. I'm also so obsessed with the change in camera perspective. We've never done this before. It's very fun, very funky, very fresh. It's just a great way to liven up a Trouble of the Week episode. Duke and Jennifer are walking around outside the hospital, and Duke asks her to see what Vince and Dave might know about recent events. Duke also says that he's going to stick with Nathan and help him out with the heart eating stuff. I could gush about Duke and Jennifer forever, to be honest. They are just such a reprieve from the chaos. In the hospital, Audrey and Nathan are being questioned by a doctor about how there's no bullet in Audrey, because that is puzzling. Duke comes in and Audrey explains that William has always said that the two of them are connected, so this incident has confirmed that. Duke points out that this makes it a bit hard to deal with William.
Look, if hurting him is gonna hurt Audrey, that is gonna make him very hard to deal with.
Vince joins the hospital room party to tell the trio about the ghost hunters. He explains how they could cause issues for Haven and its secrecy.
They'll find a troubled person.
Audrey tells Nathan to go help sort out the situation with Duke. Audrey then admits to Vince that she feels the connection to William. She can actually kind of recognize that. While she's on the truth train, she tells him that William said that she's responsible for making the troubles.
The troubles. They're here because of us. Because of me.
So Vince is the first other person to know that. The dark side seekers are continuing to intrude on the investigations. So then the device goes off again and the lights all go out in the building. We swap back to the handheld perspective on the ghost hunter's camera, and once again it's very cool and very fun. The creature shows up again and it's kind of serving Teen Wolf. Might be a niche reference. God, that's a show that happened. So the creature disappears, but it's killed and eaten another person's heart. So our ghost hunters then say that they're feeling a bit disheartened and claim that they didn't actually get any footage of the monster. Of course, it turns out that they actually did get it on camera. They're just hungry for the truth. Later, Nathan and Dwight confront Seth. So Seth tells Nathan and Dwight that they've been uploading all of their footage to the cloud. So even if they destroy the camera, it won't do anything. They'll still have the footage. At the station, Duke and Nathan have a heart-to-heart. Our bromance is still very much a thing. Nathan's feeling very worried about Audrey. There's lots of reasons to feel that way.
Today, it's a phantom bullet. Before that, she was stuck in an alternate reality.
He's also a little bit insecure about the William connection situation. Duke reminds us about Audrey's iconic season 3 sacrifice.
Person that she loved most in this world. That's you, buddy.
Nathan's still a little bit sad boy about it though, because sad boy season is still happening. So Dwight enters the scene and tells us that all the victims that have had their hearts eaten out have the same birthday. And in a very unfortunate turn of events, it's Jennifer's birthday, the murder birthday.
We just celebrated Jennifer's birthday.
She also has that birthday. Also, why didn't we get to see the celebration? I would have liked to see that. So the boys head to the Herald to go get Jennifer, who they're a bit concerned about, and they find that the place has been tossed around and it looks like there's been an attack. Nathan does point out that there's no blood though, so she could be okay, but Duke's not really feeling all that relieved. He's feeling a bit cranky, a bit scared. The boys show up to the ghost hunters and ask to see the footage. So the seekers say that the footage has actually turned out pretty shit because you can't actually see the monster. They say it looks like just a bunch of pixels. When they show it to us though, it actually looks like it's a bunch of the floaty trouble goo balls, all kind of congealed together to create a monster. So the guys figure out that William is behind the monster and the heart eating. He's making a monster out of trouble goo. Oh yeah, they're calling the trouble goo orbs for now. I think I'll just keep calling it trouble goo. Back at the hospital, Audrey notices that her wound is completely gone. It's not like it's healed, it's just gone now. Something else that's completely gone is William. He's also beaten up Stan in his escape, Not Stan. Stan's off limits. Nathan shows up and is relieved that Audrey's okay, but they both realise that this means that William's probably healed too, and his wound's probably gone as well. That's less exciting. Duke now gets a call from Jennifer, who is hiding out at a warehouse that Vince and Dave own, because they own warehouses and all kinds of property, apparently. Alright, so now I have to talk about the book again, and if you're thinking, what book? There's not a book, is there? There's a book. So the book that Audrey had in the pilot that she gave to Howard, the book that had the coordinates to Kick 'em Jenny neck, and the book that Jennifer recently discovered with all of her birth parents' stuff. That book. We've got to talk about it, and we've got to keep talking about it. Jennifer's got that book with her in the warehouse. Elsewhere, Seth and Dwight are testing out some ghost tools and some evidence from the orb creature / the trouble goo creature to see if anything can help. So Seth has made an electrical polarity guide. It goes off whenever the trouble goo creature is around. That's all we need to know. So everyone heads to the warehouse now to protect Jennifer, who once again is a target because she has the same birthday as all the people that got their hearts eaten out. So now the device starts beeping again, but it's a different kind of a beep. It's a new beep that we haven't heard before. So this opposite reading is coming from Jennifer. She's not thrilled about that. Audrey then notices the book in her hand, the weird vampire book. I don't know why it's a vampire book. Is it a reference to something? Audrey clocks that Jennifer's got the book, the recognizable book. She asks Jennifer where she got this book, and Jennifer explains that it was just with all of her birth parents' stuff. Audrey then reminds us that it's important because of its history throughout the show. Audrey thinks that Howard left the vampire book for Jennifer specifically. Audrey takes the book from Jennifer, and then the device stops beeping. Jennifer takes the book back, and then the device beeps again. Poor girl.
Me and the book together. It's just perfect.
She did not sign up for this. So then the device starts beeping again, but it's the bad beep. It's the trouble goo creature beep. We get more handheld camera footage as it attacks our crew, and it's just as fun as ever. The encounter ends with Jennifer grabbing the book, and then the trouble goo creature evaporates into trouble goo. Now the book is glowing with the guard symbol. Remember the guard symbol? The guard that have the tattoos that have the symbol, and someone with the tattoo is going to kill Duke. That symbol is glowing on this vampire book. After all the chaos, Seth says that he's not going to release the footage for the Darkside Seekers show. He now understands that it's actually people that are suffering in Haven with the Troubles, and he doesn't want to exploit that. That's some really quick character growth for Seth. Maybe we'll see you again. Maybe we will. Haven's latest it couples are hanging out and discussing the glowing book. More specifically, they're discussing the fact that only Jennifer can see the guard symbol that's glowing on the book. Even Audrey can't, and she's usually known to be able to do that sort of thing. Jennifer then opens the book and finds a riddle. We've got riddles now.
In times of great evil, the child of ruin must find the heart of Haven and summon the door.
Jennifer says that she thinks that she's the child of ruin from this riddle, and that she can therefore summon an interdimensional door that they can all use to send William away into another dimension.
I can summon the door and send William through it to wherever he came from.
I told you that we were going full sci-fi. I don't think it was enough warning though, because nothing can prepare you for how we just end up at portals and dimensions. We just end up here. Episode 12 is titled When the Bough Breaks, and it's an intense one. We open with hearing babies cry in the distance, and then random people start dropping dead in various places around town. Our favourite couples are all hiding out together currently, and they're talking about the crazy, weird vampire book, and how it's glowing with the guard symbol, and how there was a riddle, and there was a child of ruin, and a dimensional door. So they start to piece together how this book seems like it's a bit of a manual as to how to open this interdimensional door between worlds, because once again they want to shove William back through this door.
So we find the door between the two worlds and we shove him right through.
That's what they'd like to do. Duke and Jennifer are going to try and find the door, while Nordry go to deal with the dead people from the cold open. We heard the baby cry and they all died. That's still something that we're dealing with this episode. William shows up to the crime scene, and he's really weird and threatening as usual, and he tells Audrey that she needs his help in order to solve this trouble. Jennifer, Duke, Vince and Dave are trying to figure out where/what the heart of Haven is, where they're going to find the door. So now Vince's guard tattoo, his supernatural guard tattoo, I don't know if I've even called that out now that I think about it. Vince is obviously the leader of the guard, and his guard tattoo fades in and out seemingly at will, and now it's fading in and out in conjunction with the book that has the guard symbol also. They're fading in unison. Elsewhere, Audrey asks William how to fix the trouble, so William says that he's tweaked this particular trouble to make it worse. He also tells Audrey that she's going to have to give someone a trouble in order to solve this trouble and stop people from dropping dead randomly. So he tells Audrey that by doing this, she'll remember who she really is. If she gives out a trouble, she'll remember who that is. How's that feeling? Is that feeling like it's too much? I hope not, because it's not anywhere near where we're going. This is some big old trouble lore. It's actually quite cool to learn all of this stuff. It just feels like a lot when it's happening to you, but it's gonna be okay. So William tells her that because this trouble is sound related, Audrey will need to create a silence trouble. She's gonna need it to kind of combat one another. Audrey is not keen about the concept of giving someone a trouble. That's not really her thing. She helps people with troubles. But then William shows us that it's an actual straight up baby whose trouble this is. And when this baby cries, which they're known to do, people die. The baby's cries are killing people around town at random. So Nordry are now talking to the dad of the baby that's killing people. He says that this trouble in his family, which he recognizes, it has never been triggered in someone before puberty, because that feels unfair. So this guy is part of the Harker family. So in the Harker family, if they cry, random people die.
Never let a Harker cry, lest near or far people die.
When they cry, people die. That's the thing. So now Audrey has to tell this man that William has triggered this trouble in his baby. Now this baby, who they can't really tell to not cry, is gonna cry and kill people. Talk about emotional repression. This family is going through it. So this baby is in fact 4 months old. So the dad points out that this is not going to be an easily solved issue. They cry kind of often. Things get even darker when Ben, the dad, he explains that last time a member of the family got their trouble triggered and they couldn't be taught to not cry.
Had Down syndrome. They couldn't teach him not to cry before puberty.
They solved this issue by...
They cut his vocal cords.
Cutting vocal cords. I don't really know what else to say about that. It's just, this trouble just kind of hits ya. Very heavy. So Nathan now confronts Audrey about what's going on and how she's acting very strange. She still hasn't told Nathan that her original self and William are the creators of the troubles. He still doesn't know that. So now she decides that it's finally time to fill him in.
For so long, I wanted to know who I am. Before Audrey, Lucy, Sarah. I started the troubles. Yours. Everyone's.
Nathan seems fairly shocked, which is fair. So Audrey now explains to Nathan what William's plan is to have Audrey give someone a silence trouble to combat the sound trouble with the baby crying. But also, as you remember, part of that plan of his is for her to remember who she originally was by giving someone a trouble. He thinks that will turn her back into original Audrey, whoever she was. Nathan doesn't love the concept of Audrey having to give someone a trouble, and none of us do. Back at the Herald, Vince gives us some exposition about his tattoo.
Really, it's a birthmark and a birthright.
Which is kind of necessary because I think I completely forgot to address it before this episode. So sorry about that. That's my bad. So Vince being the leader of the guard is also a thing that he explains a bit more.
It designates me to be protector of troubled people.
Also, we find out that Dave was adopted. Another thing that I have to mention. Back with Nordry and the murderous baby trouble, Gloria shows up and it turns out that she's married into the Harker family. So Gloria's involved in all of this now. So Gloria says that the family have all looked into solving the trouble for decades, but unfortunately it's just a random and brutal trouble. It's very deadly and it can't be fixed. We see a very different side of Gloria in this episode, and it's just real sad. Nordry cook up a quick theory that if maybe immune Audrey holds the baby while the baby cries, no one will die. Surprise though, it doesn't work, and then the actual mother of the baby dies this time. Ben Harker, the father of this baby, is having the worst day on record, I think. William shows up to Nathan at another scene where there's another dead person that died because of the crying.
What do we got? I've always wanted to say that.
Really wish that I didn't enjoy William as much as I do, because he's a real evil guy, but he's very funny.
If you ask me, I think the baby did it.
Nathan is not amused at all by him though. William then hits Nathan and he can feel it, which is a bummer. William kind of just shows up into scenes and just stir shit. I'm unfortunately a bit obsessed with the way that he does that. At the Herald, Audrey is looking into the history of the Trouble, the crying and dying Trouble, and she sees yet another photo of a past life. Duke now finds out that Audrey and William created the Troubles. He's been clued in on that. Duke is super not down at all with the concept of Audrey giving someone a trouble. So the conflict between Duke and Audrey is very reminiscent of the early season 3 days. I just love their relationship and how much of an absolute roller coaster it is through the whole series.
There's no recovering from that.
You don't trust me to hold on to who I am?
I don't trust the Troubles.
Nathan then enters the scene and says that Audrey doesn't have a choice. She has to give someone a trouble because people are really dying. And Nathan seems confident that it's not going to change Audrey. It's not going to do anything to her. Everything will be fine. Duke is still against it though.
Back into some female version of William. Forget babies that kill people, we are screwed on a whole other level.
Audrey now goes to meet with William and she tells him that she's just going to kill the baby. William calls her out on her bluff because I think that might be the line that Haven has drawn in the sand. I think it might be baby murder. William continues threatening to kill more people in town. Audrey agrees to give someone a trouble to save people from dying when the baby cries because, yeah, she doesn't really have a choice on that. William gives Audrey a very brief troublemaking lesson. So he hands her the trouble goo box and she recites what she's just learned about giving people troubles.
Intention, person, black ball of stuff.
How are we doing?
This is gonna be amazing.
So Nathan and Duke get filled in on the trouble recipe as well.
Tension, person, evil black goo.
There seems to be just a few simple steps in order to give someone a curse and ruin their life forever.
Jacking up somebody's life shouldn't be this simple.
Duke suggests that maybe Audrey should create a silence bubble trouble. A silence bubble trouble. That's fun to say. Now we have to pick the person to give the silence bubble trouble to. Audrey reminds us that the troubles are always related to the person that has them in some way. And then Duke chimes in on Nathan's affliction.
Well, you weren't exactly the most emotionally expressive kid in school. Now you're numb.
We are all thinking it, to be fair. And then Nathan bites back about Duke's trouble.
You're a sponge.
Wasn't derogatory.
Okay.
This is some of the only humour that we get in these next couple episodes, so enjoy it while we have it. So Audrey picks Gloria's partner, who is a little bit deaf, to give this silence bubble trouble to. Back with Jennifer, Vince and Dave, the book guard symbol and his arm symbol start moving, like sort of a compass. The compass is pointing at the lighthouse. So the three of them discuss how maybe the lighthouse is the heart of Haven and therefore the location of the door to the other dimension that they want to push William through. Back at the killer baby's house, Audrey tries to give the old man a trouble. Whilst she does this, she has a very small but very weird reaction. Only Duke seems to clock it. So the trouble doesn't work, this silence bubble trouble. It's not successful. And now the baby cries again, and now 5 more people die. Crying and dying. That's what this episode title should be. Crying and dying. So William is quite disappointed to see that giving out a trouble to someone hasn't made Audrey remember who she originally was. He was kind of counting on that, of her to turn back into her after giving out a trouble, because that's what Audrey's original self was really good at doing. So Audrey tells William that the trouble that she gave this old man didn't actually do what she wanted it to do. So in response, William just gives her some more trouble goo and says, give it another go. Just give someone else a life-altering curse. It's whatever. Duke now confronts Audrey about her strange reaction earlier when she gave out a trouble. Audrey tries to deny that there was ever even a reaction at all, but Duke's not having it.
Well, you're not gonna lie to me.
So it's all a bit scary. Audrey could be returning to this person. Jennifer, Vince and Dave venture into the lighthouse. They're still chasing the interdimensional door thing from the vampire book. So Audrey explains to Duke what it felt like to give someone a trouble.
And I think that some deep part of me liked it.
It's all fairly unfortunate. Duke tells Audrey that this is a very slippery slope. He's got a bit of experience with his trouble and the high that he got from it and all of that. He's like, don't. So he really doesn't want Audrey to keep doing this and turn into someone she's not, or someone that she used to be a few hundred years ago. Their friendship, so entertaining to watch. So speaking of Duke's trouble, Ben, the father of the baby, he asks Duke to kill him because he's aware of how the Crocker curse, the trouble dies throughout the whole generation. So Ben is like, if I die, the trouble will die in the baby, but the baby will live. so no one else will die anymore when the baby cries. I've made that more complicated than it needs to be. But as we know, Duke doesn't have his trouble anymore. It's not really a plan that's going to work, or is it? We quickly cut back to the Lighthouse crew, and they have discovered some caves beneath the lighthouse. There's caves there that we've never seen before. There's also a very large guard symbol on the ground in the caves. Jennifer says that 4 people need to stand on the symbol in order for the door to open, the interdimensional door. Elsewhere, Duke asks if the baby's dad is sure about wanting to let Duke kill him in order to kill the trouble. He's like, are you sure that you want me to do that? Ben is sure. So now Duke agrees to kill him, and we're all a bit confused at first because he can't do that. He doesn't have his trouble anymore. So Duke tells Ben to head up to the house and get ready to be killed. Prepare yourself for that. So Audrey has now realized what Duke's plan is.
So now you want me to re-trouble you, give you the Crocker family curse, so that you can kill that baby's father?
Duke says yes, I would like you to re-trouble me. Duke is of the belief that because Audrey knows Duke and his trouble so well, she'll be able to give him his trouble exactly as it was. I'm loving Duke this episode. I just really want to point that out. All of his lines are great, the delivery's great. Duke is absolutely serving this episode. So Gloria is quite upset about the prospect of her stepson dying today as well.
But this is your plan to strip me of my family one by one?
Ben tells her that it's the only way to stop this kind of horrific baby crying, people dying situation. And this episode is overall quite a tough watch. Just as a whole thing, it's very difficult. So Jennifer doesn't want Duke to have to be recursed because that's more trauma for Duke.
Why do you have to be the hero this time?
Duke tells Jennifer that this is the only option though. Jennifer would like to have a normal moment with Duke, ever. Back at the killer baby's house, everyone is preparing for Duke to get re-troubled and then go kill Ben. So Audrey has got the trouble goo on her hand now, and she goes to place it on Duke's very nice looking chest, just as an aside. So she's about to now re-trouble him with the Crocker family curse by doing this, by placing her hand on him with the trouble goo. Her hand doesn't make contact though, and we get a cliffhanger. Once again, weeks in between episodes for me. I was emotionally distraught. And 14 at this point, I think. Moving on. Episode 13 is our season 4 finale, and it's called The Lighthouse. Now, based on the history of the Haven Lighthouse, we can all assume that this is not going to go well. So we pick back up right as Audrey places her hand on Duke's chest with the trouble goo, re-giving him his trouble. After doing this, Audrey has a flashback of being in a lake with William and being very naked. She gets all creepy smile about it, and Duke looks as worried as I am. So William somehow senses kind of across town that Audrey has remembered being this woman, and he heads out after her. Back with freshly re-troubled Duke, Nathan checks in on him. So Duke gives Nathan a knife, and then they confirm that Duke's trouble is in fact back, because Nathan's conveniently got troubled blood himself. So yes, the Crocker family curse is back in action. So Ben, the killer baby's dad, rocks up and just is so ready to be killed by Duke. Before Duke can go do that, Duke tells Nathan about Audrey's weird vibe. Not specifically about the creepy smile, but he sort of lets him know that things are not looking normal with her. Nathan's under the impression that once they get William out of town and through the interdimensional door, then Audrey will be fine. And this past self, she won't even be an issue anymore. We just gotta get William out of this world, literally. Ben now says goodbye to his son, his baby son, and he heads inside to get murdered by Duke. Gloria asks Audrey if she believes in the afterlife. It's so lovely.
There is so much more for us after we're gone.
And it's just heavy. We hear a gunshot from inside of the house, indicating that Duke has now killed Ben. Duke walks out of the house with a blanket, and we all understand what's just happened.
Aaron can cry now.
My God, what a rough start to this episode. Gloria is being very gracious about it all, but everyone is overall just feeling very somber. Jennifer now checks in on Duke. I love them. Very understandable to not be feeling so hot right now. Duke tells Jennifer about his worries for Audrey as well. He's letting everyone know that he's got concerns. So we all come to the consensus that William's got to go through the portal door to a different dimension, and he's got to go ASAP. Jennifer tells us that there's 4 specific people that need to stand on the guard symbol in order to open the door. So these 4 people need to be from another world from a world on the other side of the portal.
The 4 people we need, they have to have been born in another world.
Because it's sci-fi time, as you've been warned. I really don't think anything could have prepared anyone though, to be fair. So it's okay if it's feeling like a lot. So Jennifer reckons that one of the people from the other world is her because of the weird adoption stuff. She's like, yeah, I'm thinking that one of those is me.
You're living with an illegal alien, Duke.
2 more of these people from the other world are William and Audrey. That info quickly gets dropped. They're from a different world from beyond the void. The void is the sci-fi valley, space between the doors. That's the void because it's the space between 2 different worlds. Oh dear. Home stretch. Okay, so Audrey says that she's going to deal with William and getting him to cooperate in terms of standing on the symbol and opening a door for him to get kicked into the void. Audrey thinks that she's got that handled. Duke is fairly sus on Audrey. He's not loving her energy since the creepy smile incident. Duke and Jennifer now head off to find a 4th person to stand on the symbols because right now the only people from the other world that we've got are Jennifer, William and Audrey, and we need number 4. And Audrey talk about what happened when she troubled Duke, and Audrey says that she remembers who William was talking about, this original self. Audrey remembered her.
Her name was Mara.
Let's pop Mara on Audrey's tree really super quick. Here's Mara. I know we haven't seen this clip of her yet. We will shortly. Just let it go. William's also up here now because he's for sure with Mara because of the naked lake scene. That feels like something that people that are just more than friends would do. Also, I didn't address it early, but that weird newspaper picture, that's someone, we don't know who that is yet. And I forgot to print out a picture, so she has a question mark. So Nathan now asks Audrey if she has Mara's memories. Audrey says no, I don't, and that it's very different with Mara. Her connection to the past life, it's very different.
I felt being Mara.
Audrey also tells us that she's not a big fan of Mara. Audrey's really got some more information about Mara that we don't have yet.
She was no one I'd want to be.
Audrey's now got a plan to trick William into getting him into the lighthouse, into the caves, onto the symbol thing, and then of course, kicking him into the void. We want to put William in the void. That's our goal. So Audrey's plan is to trick William into thinking that she'd like to talk more about Mara. So then while William's off guard, telling Audrey about Mara, Nathan can take him out. That's the plan. Vince, Dave, Duke, Dwight and Jennifer. This episode's very much giving ensemble cast. They're all discussing finding out who the 4th person to go on the guard symbol is. They're trying to figure out who that could be. Dave is not down to open the door at all, and he's scared that it's going to bring this evil through. Remember the evil with the horseshoe crabs and stuff, and why Audrey can't kill Nathan and stop the troubles? Dave's worried about that coming through this portal door in their effort to get William out. He's like, no, because if we open it, the evil will come through. He's still very concerned about that. The crew all tell Dave that it's going to be okay. Just let it go, buddy. Audrey now goes to meet with William, and she tells him that she knows some stuff now about her original self. William is very, very excited to hear this. Audrey tries to lure him into the firing line of Nathan's tranquilizer gun, but that's not going very well. Duke and Dwight are now tracking down the barn guys in case one of them is our 4th person from another world, and we need them to stand on the symbol to get the door open, the portal to the void open. Dwight then says that he's real grateful for Duke and what he did by ending the cry and people die trouble. Then Dwight adds to just how devastating everything is all the time by saying that if his daughter was still alive, Dwight would want Duke to kill him to save his daughter from the bullet magnet trouble that did kill her. Dwight can be such a sad guy. Then to ruin the wholesomeness that they've got going on, Duke starts coughing and then some blood comes up. So Duke's coughing up blood. That's something else we have to keep track of. So the 2 of them find the barn guys. So then something really fun that happens. The barn guys actually turn into a bunch of the little trouble goo balls and they fly away. As this show progresses, it's sentences like those that I'm gonna have to get more comfortable with saying. Audrey and William are having a stroll and they're having a chat. We're reminded that Audrey being sent into the barn, as all of her past lives, was punishment for what Mara did by creating the troubles. That's a really tough sentence to go through all of that and be all these people and then have them die and stuff and then be trapped for 27 years at a time. That's crazy. But also creating the troubles, the curses, and giving them to everyone, that's also kind of crazy. So Nathan looks like he's got a shot on William, but then big barn guy shows up behind Nathan and knocks him out. That plan's gone down the drain. So now the barn guys bring Nathan over to William and Audrey. It's not going well for him. He's not having a good day. No one's having a good day. William tells Audrey that she has the power to make the barn guys stop. She has the power to control them, apparently. And yes, she does. She stops the barn guys from hurting Nathan with her power to control the trouble goo. So she makes the trouble goo balls that were the barn guys fly back into the box. Nathan is very concerned about what's just transpired because it was a lot. Monumental is a word that I'll use to describe it. William, however, is very proud of Audrey for doing that. He's like, good job, babe. Audrey is then prompted to have another memory of being Mara by her utilizing the trouble goo. That seems to be her connection to Mara memories, is using the trouble goo. So this time we actually get quite a good look at Mara. It's where we get this pic from. Back with Audrey, William now tells her to give Nathan another trouble. Audrey seems to be in like a little bit of a hypnosis moment after her Mara memory. Elsewhere though, we find out that Dave has had some adoption papers hidden from everyone, but we don't know whose adoption papers have been hidden. So Duke starts bleeding once again, and then the grass underneath him starts dying, and the dying grass kind of spreads out. No one knows what's going on. Back with Audrey and William, it really does look like Audrey's about to give Nathan another trouble. That looks like it's gonna happen. She goes to trouble Nathan again, but actually not, because it's an act for William, and she tells Nathan to knock her out so that William will also get knocked out because of their physical connection. She's like, knock me out, babe. It does work, and William is incapacitated also. So now poor Nathan is left up on this hill, still handcuffed, and he has to get himself out of that and then also get these two unconscious people down to the lighthouse. No one is having a good day. Not a soul. Duke tries to tell Jennifer that he's okay, don't worry about the dead grass and the bleeding and stuff. Dave is now confronted by Vince about stealing the adoption papers. Dave tells Vince he can't say who the fourth person is that's meant to stand on the symbol and open the portal to the void. He finally confesses that it's him. Dave is the fourth person from the other world.
The fourth person? To me?
And so therefore he's the fourth person needed to open the portal to the void. So Dave tells us that he actually has memories of being in this other world, and he also tells us that he's not going to help them open the door. Dave says that he's been drawn to an interdimensional door in the past. There's been a situation in which Dave has been kind of pulled through a portal towards the void, and he thinks that that's going to happen again when this portal is opened. He thinks he's going to get pulled towards it again. Duke, Dwight, and Jennifer are also here and also very confused.
What's going on?
At the Lighthouse Caves, Audrey are discussing their dream life that they're going to have once William is put through the portal and everything goes back to magical happy haven.
Sounds like suburban bliss.
So William ruins the moment between Audrey, and he's really convinced that Audrey's not going to send him through the door into the void. He thinks that she's exhibiting Mara behaviour, and so she won't be able to let him go. Nathan is pissed at him for a lot of reasons, obviously, and so he staunches over to William, looking like he's ready for a fight, but then William points out our issue once again.
Impossible for you to injure me without injuring her.
Cheeky little Nathan says this.
I bet I can do it.
And yes, he can. He can hurt him. I love him. That was iconic. The rest of the team are all headed to the lighthouse now, and it looks like our door portal plan open, put William in the void plan is going to work. It looks like it's on. Duke's having some second thoughts because he's a bit concerned for Jennifer, but Jennifer says he doesn't have to worry. They're going to be fine. Bless them. And so with that, here we go. So Duke is still not feeling too great. William then tells Duke that he's already a dead man. William explains the very scary situation, the reality of what's happening to Duke physically right now.
Your family absorbing troubles into its blood for generations. When Audrey retroubled you, she activated them.
All of the troubles inside of Duke are gonna blow up and explode inside of him. He's also very amused by that.
I just hope I'm there when they blow, because it's gonna be crazy.
So Duke now collapses from his sickness, and Dave uses this distraction to grab a gun, and then he starts pointing it around and waving it at people, saying he's not going to do this. Dave is not down to open the portal door, so Dave quickly tries to shoot Vince so that he can escape, but Dwight decides that he's going to position himself so that the bullet veers off and hits him, so that was quite fun.
When you know you're gonna get shot, you make it count.
Duke is really not doing so hot, very ill currently. So we try again to get this portal opened because it's going so well, but now we actually see a hole in the ground kind of open up to otherworldly sci-fi clouds. So it seems like we have opened a portal into this interdimensional void thing. So Nathan tries to push William in. William's very scared of the clouds and the void. He's not keen at all about the prospect of having to go in there. Then we see Dave starting to get pulled towards the portal, just like he warned us might happen. He's getting pulled into it, like Dave's going in. It's dramatic for like a second, but then everyone pulls him out, so he's okay. So Audrey now says that she wants to be the one to push William into the void. She'd like to do that herself. Before she does so, Audrey and William have some weird connection stuff. More of those electricity sparks happen, and then she pushes him in. William does get to say this line before he disappears into the cloudy abyss.
I need right now.
So that's a bit alarming. So Jennifer now closes the portal, and then she collapses. Right after doing that, Duke then runs over to her and says that she's not breathing anymore, which is also alarming. So then Duke starts bleeding just out of all of the places. Nathan asks what's going on, just kind of generally to the room, I think. That's a valid question. So Audrey then says that Duke is as good as dead, and she asks everyone this question.
Who's going to help me get William back?
That's not Audrey anymore. Someone else might be here. That is honestly how they finished season 4. That's it. How was that? How did we go with season 4? It is a journey. Takes a bit of getting used to. I told you that it was a turning point. I did the best I could. Kind of this season is a bit difficult. It's difficult to understand sometimes when you're watching it. So trying to explain it, not easy. Let's start wrapping things up though by calling out Nathan's most unhinged moments this season. Honorable mention, we've got him getting paid to get beaten up by bikers as his intro this season. That was kind of wild and a little bit unhinged of him. We've got him almost successfully making Audrey kill him. Also him just the whole season trying to get that to happen, to get that going. That was unhinged. Next, of course, we've got him shooting William out of nowhere. Just felt like doing it, so he did it. Then we've got, of course, his very uncomfortable sex dream about Audrey, about sexy teacher Audrey. That was completely unhinged. What went on there? I would have loved to be in a writer's room for that. I just want to know how it came to be. Thanks, buddy. Always love you. Appreciate your unhinged behavior. Moving on swiftly to my top 3 episodes. This is actually the first time that the finale is not going to be in my top 3. Might seem kind of crazy. I'm a very big Haven finale fan, but I feel like my picks for season 4 are a little bit more based on how iconic that episode is for me and my memory of watching the show, if that makes sense. Now for my official top 3. Number 3, we've got episode 5, The New Girl, for obvious reasons. The New Girl was in town. Lexi in Haven is so fun. Her interacting with the other characters for the first time, and also with the town itself and all of the troubles and everything, it's very great. It's very entertaining. How incredibly different she is to Audrey just makes this episode so much fun to watch. Also, I'm obviously a very, very big fan of how the reveal at the end of the episode is carried out. I think the fact that it's Duke that realizes first is really poignant. I think that that's great how they did that. And yeah, the fact that Audrey's back and it's the first time that we see Audrey in that final scene, love it. The New Girl is an episode that I remember very vividly watching for the first time. In my number 2 spot, I've got episode 7, Lay Me Down. Another great mix of our trademark Haven humour and also crazy, heavy, dramatic stuff as well. All happening at the same time, that's when the show shines. It's also just so crazy and wild that Duke kills Wade, his own brother, in this episode and kills his own trouble, which has been an issue since season 2. And he kills that off. He cures his own trouble by killing a member of his family. Absolutely wild storyline for Duke. Very, very good drama. The Naked Nathan thing is, I don't think I need to say anything, actually. I think that you can understand where I'm at with that. Finally, the ending with Nordry actually getting together for the first time, super officially. Major, major points for this being the episode that finally happens. Finally, at my number 1 spot, we've got episode 10, The Trouble with the Troubles. Come on. With a title like that, How can I not? Everyone's alternate selves, namely, of course, Cop Duke and Dr. Nathan, can't get enough of them. Obsessed with that. The way that William's chaotic, unhinged personality starts to shine for the first time in this episode is fantastic. It's where your love for evil but very funny characters starts, and that's important for season 5. You have to have nurtured that feeling of being a fan of really evil, chaotic characters. I have a lot of feelings about that next season. Also, we had the shock ending with shooting William and then Audrey getting shot too. That happened in this episode as well, if you forgot. I just really remember this episode so well, so vividly, kind of like the New Girl. I had so much fun watching this episode, and I still feel that same way when I rewatch it. Seeing these characters that we know so well be so different, interact so differently, I'm a big fan. I had the most fun with this episode this season, and sometimes there wasn't a lot of fun to be had in season 4, so that's why it's ended up at number 1, because I had fun. So this season was actually the first time that I struggled in deciding who the most traumatized character was. I actually felt like it could have been any of our main trio. Lots of trauma.
Lots of trauma.
The last 3 seasons, I felt like it was pretty clear who got it the worst each time, but now all bets are off. In terms of Duke, we've got the whole Wade thing, which doesn't narrow it down. His brother wanting his curse, getting a thirst for the high and for the murder of it all, and then having to kill him. And then topping it off with having to be re-troubled by Audrey in order to kill the father of a baby whose cries are killing people. So that's pretty traumatic for Duke. Nathan was just in an incredibly dark place the whole season, pretty much. It was sad boy season, as I mentioned a couple times. Just the whole my death will cure everything thing, feeling the guilt for everyone that died in town thing. He was just not doing well for most of this season. In light of that though, I think that it does have to be Audrey round 2, one after the other, unfortunately. I think that it is the trauma title for you again, Audrey. So she was hit with the insanely traumatic news that her original self created the troubles and gave them to people as a concept, as a thing. She created them. She made them and cursed people with them. Traumatic. And then she seems to end the season by getting taken over by this original evil self. She seems to be controlling her now, maybe. Audrey also was Lexi, and she got traumatized with all of the news from William in the barn bar before we knew what his deal was. And then she landed in Haven, and instead of being able to be excited that she made it back home, Nathan handed her a gun and told her to kill him. So that was a bit traumatic. She also discovered that she's kind of an alien this season. She's from a different world. She had to re-trouble Duke, her friend. She had to re-give him the family curse that caused him so much hardship and trauma. She had to redo that to him. She also troubled a man who was hard of hearing in an attempt to stop the baby crying, dying trouble. And then also across multiple episodes, Nathan was trying to make her kill him. I think that's it. Probably definitely not, but I think that that's why I feel justified in that decision. So that concludes my season 4 recap. It's definitely something to deal with. Season 4 of Haven. It's definitely a thing that happens to you. Next time I'll be back talking about the first half of Season 5. For some reason, probably a studio decision. Season 5 is 26 episodes, and it's kind of perfectly split down the middle at 13 episodes each, which to me, it's just Season 5 and Season 6, but we have to call it Season 5 Volume 1 and Season 5 Volume 2, because that's what the DVD says, I guess. I'll be back here for Season 5 Volume 1, otherwise known as the first 13 episodes of Season 5, the last season of Haven. Even the layout of the series is complex. That's Haven for ya. Thanks so much for being here and for watching and for being invested in all of this. I would love to know, if you're someone that has watched the series previously, how you feel about from seasons 1 to 3 and then into 4 and both parts of 5. Do you feel like there's a shift? Is that just a me thing? What are your thoughts? Do you prefer one half of the series over the other? I'd like to hear, so you can let me know. Otherwise, I'll just see you for Season 5, Volume 1. Specifically. Once again, thanks so much for being here. I'll see you next time for the beginning of the end of Haven. Whilst William and Jennifer are talking, not Jennifer, it's Audrey, Lexi. If I'm getting this confused in episode 3, this is not looking great. Jordan twice. I don't think the alcohol was a good idea. Duke no longer has his family trouble because he killed a member of his... Duke no longer has his family trouble because he killed a member of his... Fuck. Maybe I should be wearing my glasses. Oh no. My stick-on nails were just revealed. I've been outed. I don't know. We're in it now, baby. No one's ready. Not you, not me, not anyone. But I have to talk about it. Can you hear that plane? Cheers to aviation. Season 7. Season 7. What if I just shot the rest of the video down here? I think that looks great. To the Haven Police Station. I don't know. I actually don't understand what's going on. The barn guys are looking for a... Sorry, that was just some ghostly activity. Anyway, hopefully you cannot hear my stomach. She's very loud. The planes are out of control. How is it still flying? Dan brings William in, who is poising as a lawyer. I still have so many episodes. Okay. Have I mentioned that it's a baby? No, I'm about to. I fear that I'm gonna have to sit up for this. Dr. Duke, not Dr. Duke. Imagine if we got Dr. Duke. I have to keep on track. Once again, thanks for... My stomach.